Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Distribute Marvel. I sign in Doomsday at the start. Chapter 41. Abdicate. This is the shame of the royal family for thousands of years. He is alive and cannot face the people. He died and had no face to face his ancestors, so it was impossible for him to die, so humiliating and betraying the country. Ha ha ha, the winner is the king, and the loser is the bandit. Now it's me Yamato who has lost, and my royal family who has lost, but if you want me to be a traitor to the country, you'd better not bother. Wanting to laugh, facing Chen Shi without fear, but calmly begging for death. I didn't expect you to have such guts. Chen Shi didn't expect that the monarch who usually delegates power and rules but does not have such great courage, he can't do anything about losing his country and humiliating his power. Your Majesty Tianwang. I'll be loyal to His Majesty. Tianwang hail. The massacre that took place in the palace has long spread throughout Tokyo, and countless little devils flocked to the palace to protect Tianwang. The Tianwang of the small plaster is the descendant of the great god Amaterasu. They are loyal to the descendant of the god, and their prestige is so high that even if they die, there is no hesitation. Countless people started to attack Chen Shi with knives and guns. Even if they died, they would also eat a piece of Chen Zai's flesh. They had long forgotten the horror of death. Hey, what a bunch of loyal ministers. Looking at the men, women and children who were brave and did not fear death, Chen Shi sighed, no wonder they invaded China with a small space. Unfortunately, people who are not of our race will have different hearts. The more this is the case, the more you will not be allowed to stay. Chen Zai's eyes were cold and ruthless, so let me be that ruthless man, killing you all to be courtiers and pay tribute. He stretched out his slender and fair hand. Perhaps this perfect hand should be learned to play the piano, but Chen Shi used this hand to slaughter the common people. With a slight grip, he killed the civilians at Chen Shi. All the soldiers exploded into a fog of blood, leaving no bones. Even the common people, when they picked up the sword and rushed towards Chen Shi, they would never die. When they pick up swords and guns, they will one day rush to the Chinese people. If that's the case, then let me, Chen Shi, be the one who fell into the darkness and bring peace to the world. Chen Zai's heart, at the moment, has become ice for 10,000 years. No, please, let them go, they are all civilians. The princess girl had already cried to tears and roared heart-piercing. She regretted it. She thought it was the happiest day in her life, but she didn't expect that today would be hell on earth. Ha ha ha, you told me you were a commoner. This is the biggest joke I've heard in my life for so many years. Are beasts a commoner? Who has thought about the countless compatriots in China? Have you ever thought that they are civilians? The reincarnation of heaven, who will the heavens spare? Hearing this, Chen Shi laughed in anger, and his anger ignited, so let's be more violent. Using psychokinesis to hold up the little devil who was dying, Chen Shi slowly flew out of the palace, watching the devils in Wuyong and Wuyong flock to the palace. Stop it all for me. Your Majesty is here. If you want him alive, just kill yourself. If I'm in a good mood, maybe I'll let him go. Countless devils looked up at the indomitable, godlike terrifying figure in the sky, and began to tremble. Why is this person so ruthless? God Amaterasu, quickly manifest your spirit. God Amaterasu, your people are on the verge of life and death. Hearing the sound of prayer below, Chen Shi laughed disdainfully. Little puppy fart Amaterasu, so what if he was alive? I count 3 times. If the number of suicides is not enough, I will torture your Majesty. 3, 2, 1. Chen Zai's playful voice just wanted to linger the cold wind, making them feel cold all over. Your Majesty hail. Yamato hail. Hundreds of little devils let out their final roars and resolutely chose to be loyal to Tianwang. There are definitely countless bullets flying towards Chen Shi, but unfortunately the bullets also flew back at a faster speed, splashing with blood mist. Urine, it seems that there are still many people who choose to be loyal to you, not bad. Chen Shi turned his head with a playful look, and looked at this seemingly firm Tianwang. Their deaths are worth it, and Amaterasu will bless them. Urine still refused to surrender and abdicate, and was very stubborn. Okay, let's wait and see. You don't seem to care about this person. Chen Shi took him to slowly fly towards the crowd, and everywhere he passed, there was a fog of blood in the sky. Urine's eyes slowly began to panic. Is this person's heart colder than Wanyan ice? Where's the heavy weapon? Where's the cannon? Hit me, don't care if I live or die. Yamato hail. Yurin began to roar at the crowd, but no one would turn the cannons on His Majesty. Definitely he didn't know, nothing would work. The slaughter continued, and countless civilians and soldiers turned into blood mist in front of his eyes. Before they died, they were reluctant, determined, and regarded death as home. As if to say, Your Majesty Tianwang, don't surrender, don't compromise. No, 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 please, don't kill, I admit defeat, I abdicate. In a few minutes, Yurin saw that hundreds of thousands of people just disappeared. They are innocent. Don't, I haven't had enough, go ahead. Chen Zai's tone of voice without stopping at all is enough for such a person. Psychokinesis turned into a big hand and patted the prosperous avenues one after another. It is true that life and death have fate and wealth in the sky. Whether or not they can live depends on the creation of the devil. Please, I beg you, let them go, I'll be your slave, I'll let the entire royal family be your slave, please. Yurin collapsed, his hair was messy, his nose and tears could not stop, he kept kowtowing to Chen Shi, praying that Chen Shi would let his people go. Hey, okay, who made me soft-hearted, you abdicate. Chen Shi seemed to have had enough fun and vented his anger. Such humiliation seemed to reward this little devil Tianwang. To abdicate, this is the greatest good news that Yurin has heard, this god and demon finally stopped. Yes, yes, I will issue the edict of abdication, don't do it. Looking at the devastation all over the place, by this time, his anger had also dissipated a lot. The prayers of the little commoner devil with the remaining plaster really worked, and Amaterasu really appeared, but there was a figure next to him, the Ancient One magician. Chen Shi, all the free days, their failure is inevitable, can't you wait a few more months? Amaterasu is willing to calm your anger. Ancient One traveled through time and saw countless futures, but the failure of the plaster was doomed, so I came here to advise. Oh, how did she calm down? Talk about it. I am willing to be a slave and a maid, and from today onwards, you are my master. Amaterasu bowed his head and bowed in a respectful manner. It's not impossible, that princess girl will also be my maid in the future. Chen Shi lowered his head and pondered for a while, then pointed to the maid in the distant palace. As you wish, my lord. When a crisis of annihilation passed, it was to exchange the freedom of their gods for a short-lived peace. If they knew about it, they would probably kill themselves. The movement of the plaster was too great, as if the virus spread and appeared in front of the whole world in an instant. Someone killed the palace, killed all the guards, and killed countless civilians. Yurin almost issued the edict of abdication, but in the end, the man suddenly let him go. No one knew the reasons, which led to countless speculations. Well done, it must be a god. That's right, I can't wait to step on Tokyo with the divine leaping horse. Sure enough, he is the male god of my dreams, the invincible man in the world. The latest newspapers, as long as they publish news about the gods, are bound to sell out. These newspaper bosses hang Chen Zai's portrait in the office, at home, kneel and worship day and night, this is the god of wealth. Street storytellers, opera singers, all stories are replaced by the story from the gods descended to earth. However, the accident did not end. Arnold carried out Chen Zai's orders earnestly, because the Terminator did not need to rest, not to have feelings. Every day is the news of the assassination of the little plaster high-level devils from all over the world, and the common people are like New Year's every day, their faces are full of unstoppable smiles. A few families are happy and some families are sad, while they are rejoicing, at the same time they are sad and bleak. Now the little devils don't want to get promoted and get rich. That official position is a life-threatening talisman. Anyone who is a high-ranking official is a dead person, those positions are hot potatoes, and they are already high-level, that is, people are panicked, and dozens of guards are guarded when they sleep, and there are 3 floors inside and 3 floors outside. Chen Shi didn't know how much crisis he brought to this group of plaster devils, to the point where Tan's expression changed. Chen Shi will let Arno ravage the plaster devils alone. He is living the life of a landlord and an old wealthy leisurely. Amaterasu beats his legs, Junweizi beats his back, how can people live like this? This is simply the life of a fairy. Ancient One, it's easy for you to discuss something with you. Chen Shi suddenly remembered about Howard, his cousin was about to fulfill his promise. What's the matter, tell me. Ancient One said lightly. You should know Tony Stark, I want his father to learn magic from you. Howard History Stark, does he have the ability? And his fate is doomed. Ancient One shook his head, not optimistic about Howard, the man destined to be assassinated. I'm here, his fate has changed, don't you think it's interesting? Chen Shi said nonchalantly. You also know that Tony can replace Doctor Strange to become the Sorcerer Supreme, so why does his same father have some magical ability? Chen Shi casually revealed a shocking secret, which shocked Ancient One. How do you know so many secrets, even about Tony replacing Doctor Strange in other universes? This is simply incomprehensible. Calm down, Ancient One, there is nothing in this world that I don't know, understand? I know everything and know everything. Chen Shi smiled and said that he was calm, and they all sat down. At this time, Ancient One suddenly took out the Eye of Agamotto and sent green lights towards Chen Shi. Well, it's really green, the green one makes people panic. Well, no one is afraid of this stuff, the power of time is awe-inspiring, and that green light is even more so. Chen Shi saw Ancient One start to get nervous, its head up and down, swaying left and right, the epilepsy was not as big as her swing. Looking at Chen Shi, he covered his mouth and snickered. I am unsmiling and professional, unless I really can't hold it back. When watching a movie before, when he saw Doctor Strange, he burst out laughing. Everyone thought it was Doctor Strange's kidney deficiency, but Ancient One did the same. After waiting for 5 minutes, Ancient One slowly opened his eyes. This time, his gaze towards Chen Shi changed. When she first met Chen Shi, Ancient One could handle it calmly. She just met Chen Shi for the second time, and she was only a little less confident than Chen Shi. But when she looked at Chen's eyes future through the Eye of Agamotto, there were only two paths, a vague end, a throne high in the void. One is that Chen Shi stepped on the corpses of countless villains and ascended the throne amid the cheers of countless great gods, super ability people, and mutants. The other is that Chen Shi stepped on the corpses of countless superheroes, the corpses of villains, and stepped onto the throne step by step. In any case, Chen Shi is good, the honor of all universes. Chen Shi is free, that will be the end of all universes. Yo, Ancient One, your face is very ugly, can't you see my future? Seeing that Ancient One's face was pale, Chen Shi immediately joked. Chen Shi guessed that her future was not something that Ancient One could see at all. She could only see a little bit of fur. Chen Shi didn't know that, but this little bit of fur made Ancient One's hair horrified. Yeah, it scared me a bit. Everyone has an unexplainable future tributary, and there will be different results. And there is only one endpoint. For good or evil, you must be cautious and cautious. One of your decisions is the fate of countless people. Ancient One said to Chen Shi earnestly that she was terrified. Don't worry, I'm just a salted fish. I bask in the sun every day, and I'm satisfied. There is only one principle: if people do not offend me, I do not offend others. If others offend me, I will offend others. After finishing speaking, Chen Shi took a deep look at Ancient One. Don't take precautions against me, and make arrangements for later moves, otherwise there will be consequences. Haha, don't make the atmosphere too stiff, we are all friends. In a few days, you will send Howard to Kamar Taj. Ancient One's heart suddenly became tense, and he quickly changed the subject with a ha-ha. Once the atmosphere loosened, Chen Shi returned to his lazy salted fish appearance, with a light-hearted look, as if it wasn't him who had been so oppressive just now. Ancient One left in a hurry. Chen Shi didn't let her eat. This guy was destined for everything, so Chen Shi couldn't like it. After Ancient One left, Chen Shi continued to live as a salted fish, sleeping and basking in the sun. Amaterasu and Junweizi saw their owner's lazy appearance of salted fish, and they couldn't help asking themselves, which guy is the real him? The grace of God is like the sea, and the power of God is like a prison. These two ancient idioms jumped into their minds. Chen Shi was very clear about the ideological activities of the two maids, and he was too lazy to say anything. He was still very satisfied with Amaterasu's strength. He was at least no worse than the average level 4 mutant when he first entered the level sub-godfather. Being a bodyguard and following my wife is still very reassuring. As for male bodyguards, directly slapped to death. However, Chen Shi couldn't understand the setting of the Marvel world. It was too messy, the timeline was messed up, and the energy system was messed up. The powerful Omega level, also known as the 5th level mutant, developed by Iceman ability is like shit, and was hanged by Charles and Magneto, the two 4th level mutants. And the 5th level Scarlet Witch Wanda, Phoenix Gray, is a bug in the later stage, so it cannot be placed in the 5th level mutant. But the more perverted the better, the happier Chen Shi was. For Mao, these women were destined to be their daughters-in-law. Even the rubbish of Cyclops deserves it. There is also Logan, who is not in a normal state, who still doesn't know where to mine and chop wood. Scarlet Witch Wanda. It's exciting to think about it, that's Eric's daughter. It seems that he has to send Eric out of the way and give birth to a daughter for labor. Thinking about it, the corner of Chen Zai's mouth began to inadvertently reveal an indescribable smile. Hey, this guy's laughing is so wretched, and he doesn't know who he wants to harm. Jen Huizi secretly thought to herself, thinking of her own country, she was depressed again. Pia, as soon as I complained in my heart, Jen Huizi's PP was taken. Immediately made her face red, and she was deeply favored by the royal family, how could she have such a shameful experience? Do you understand how to correct your attitude? Master, I can read minds, think more about it next time, and serve you with family law. Chen Shi closed his eyes and hummed slowly, he could precisely hit the right spot without blinking. Yes, this servant knows it's wrong. Ah, why are you hitting someone's place again? Before Jen Huizi finished speaking, she was slapped by Chen Shi again. This idiot still doesn't know how powerful I am, and is complaining about me again. Seeing that the little girl is going to suffer for her face, Amaterasu is also very funny, she really deserves it, so she can't be honest. At this time, Raven and Peggy were already in the yard, and it seemed that they had awakening the ability of the perfect T-virus serum. Hey, Sister Peggy, your position is not guaranteed. You haven't seen your place for a day, and your position has been robbed. It's pitiful. Before Peggy could speak, Raven's mouth was like a machine gun, and she said a lot. Pia, Raven was directly taken into his arms by Chen Shi and ravaged, which is so dishonest. Sister Peggy, help, our husband is going to kill me, save me. Raven shouted for help at Peggy, only she seemed to be able to save herself. Bah, you deserve it, you brought it on yourself, bear with you. Peggy doesn't care about ravens, she doesn't have a good time all day and needs to clean up. What she was looking at were the two new women who should be angry and happy, noble and glamorous. A graceful and vulgar, with a spirit of lightness, tender skin, leisurely demeanor, beautiful eyes, peach cheeks with a smile, no words to spit, air like a secluded orchid, indescribably gentle and pleasant. A person whose skin is better than snow and his eyes are like a pool of clear water. When looking forward to it, he has an elegant and lofty temperament, which makes people feel ashamed and dare not blaspheme. Compared with them, his only advantage is that the rabbit is much bigger than them, but it seems that this is Chen Zai's favorite. Thinking of this, you are suddenly full of self-confidence, and you will never catch up with me in your life. Husband, why don't you introduce me? These two young ladies are so beautiful. Peggy came out with the aura of being a big house, showing a gentle and generous temperament. Okay, put away your posture, they are the little girls I took, my spoils. Chen Shi pinched Peggy's nose with a smile, indicating that she doesn't have to be like an enemy. Oh, that's it, tell me earlier. Peggy suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. A husband's ability to look good must be more than one woman, but as few as possible must be as few as possible. Hello, my name is Peggy Kate, what kind of servant, don't listen to his nonsense, it's all family. Peggy greeted them with a smile. Hello madam, my name is Junwizi. Please take care of me in the future. Hello madam, my name is Amaterasu, please take care of me in the future. People who are under the eaves, how can they not bow their heads, whether it is a god or a princess, when you enter the gate of the Chen family, you must behave properly. Otherwise, thousands of plaster devils will die without a place to be buried. Peggy, your psychokinesis awakening, show it to me. Chen Shi suddenly wanted to see how strong this initial psychokinesis was. Okay, wait. When Peggy heard this, she took out a coin and started thinking about moving the coin in her mind. Slowly the piece began to move slowly, but it was a little slow. It's okay, within my expectations. Chen Shi nodded, the protagonist in Super Out of Control was not as good as Peggy at first. Big brother, look at me, look at me. Raven has always been positive about this kind of face-to-face thing, its nature, loves to perform. Seeing that Raven moved coins at least twice as fast as Peggy, the little girl stuck out her tongue at Peggy proudly. Peggy couldn't do anything when she was in a hurry. Who made Raven a mutant, and her mental strength was naturally stronger than her. Don't be complacent. Psychokinesis is also slowly practicing and gradually strengthening. If it is too hasty, it will increase the burden on the brain and cause nosebleeds. Don't worry. Chen Shi reminded them not to worry, mainly to remind Peggy. He knew that Peggy was very strong. Husband, don't worry, I'm not in a hurry to become stronger, because I have you to protect me. Peggy understood, and immediately told Chen Shi not to worry about her. I believe you. Chen Shi instructed to go down again to make dinner a little richer and crowded in the evening. In the evening, Howard really came running with the magic study he was thinking of. This guy Howard is admiring his cousin Chen Shi more and more. He is the idol of all men on earth. What type of beauties are there in this family? All of them are one of a kind in case. The women gathered together to chat, and Howard naturally took Chen Shi to the study to ask Chen Shi the secrets of picking up girls. Kiss big cousin, teach me how to do it, I will give it to you as long as you want it. Playboy has completely surrendered. If he used to say who was the best girl in New York, he would definitely think that he was second, and no one would dare to think first. Today, the strong has its own strong hand, and a mountain is taller than a mountain. Since his eldest cousin was born, he has become shorter. Well, I'm really inexperienced, I'm far worse than you. Chen Shi spread out his hands, really inexperienced. Are you teasing me? There are so many outside, and you still live in harmony. Howard looked like you were teasing me. How about a liar? I really don't have it, maybe it's extra points elsewhere. Where are the extra points? Well, it's a little bit stronger than others, a little bit more humorous than others, a little bit more handsome than others, a little bit more knowledgeable than others, not much. After listening to Chen Zai's shameless Versailles, Howard suddenly spit out a mouthful of old blood. You can just say that the other person is me, I can stand it. Me. Howard held back for a long time, but he couldn't find a reason to refute, and he was even more depressed. Ha, don't compare with me, I was born to stand on the top of the mountain, this world exists to welcome my arrival, don't you understand? Chen Zai's skillful way of comparing the second and second positions made Howard cry. After teasing Howard for a while, Chen Shi finally stopped the crit damage to him and started talking about business. Stop talking nonsense, Sorcerer Supreme Ancient One and I have already negotiated. Come over tomorrow morning, and I will take you to the Magic Holy Land to find her. As for whether you can learn magic, I can't guarantee it. This must require ability. With ability, how far you can go depends on your own efforts. Chen Shi told Howard about learning magic very seriously. This is the biggest change in the plot so far. Don't let Howard have no ability at that time, it would be a shame. Cousin, what you said is true, I love you cousin, ha, magic, how many girls do I have to spend, beautiful. When Howard heard this, he jumped up and jumped towards Chen Shi when Chen Shi waved a light punch and gave him a panda makeup. You're learning magic just to pick up girls. You rubbish, and I warn you, men and beasts can't bear kisses. Chen Shi was suddenly speechless, this guy is learning magic for this. It really hurts, I thought she wanted to protect the earth, hey, this playboy is useless, completely useless. Hey, cousin, forgive me, I'm so excited, I can't help it, I'm a man of word, I like women, and a pure man. Howard laughed, happy like a husky, making Chen Shi speechless for a while, isn't it magic? Get the hell out of here, wretched uncle. Chen Shi quickly waved his hand and told him to get out of the way. Hey, Howard, who used to love to pretend to be in front of him, is gone. He has changed. In order to learn magic, he doesn't need ethics. Goodbye then, my dear cousin. Howard, who became light when walking, hummed and could not understand the ditty, and quickly disappeared in front of him. In the living room downstairs, the topic of women will never end. Chen Shi doesn't want to join them, so let's relax first. In this era, there are no solar energy and water heaters. If you want to take a bath, you can only boil water by hand. Definitely this is a skill that Chen Shi discovered, and that is to use heat sight to boil water. Haha, I'm such a genius. If the Superman next door knew that Chen Shi used the heat site to boil water for bathing, they would have to try to praise the universe to kill him. Mei Mei took a bath, as if she had washed away the bad luck of the past few days, and she felt relaxed. Just when Chen Shi was about to fall asleep, two beautiful figures sneaked in. Chen Shi naturally got the perception all of a sudden, and he knew exactly what the two women were thinking, so let their wishes come true, and the interest of the small plaster will be charged from them in the future. Two soft whistles sounded, and the water in the bathtub began to surge, and it couldn't calm down for a long time. Master, we were wrong, please spare us, please. The two of them were Chen Zai's opponents, and they were quickly subdued. In the future, do you still dare to sneak attack? Chen Shi asked proudly. Don't dare, never dare. The two women hurriedly bowed their heads in fear. Clean up by yourself, find a place to recuperate, and challenge me next time when your injury heals. Yes, master, don't dare any more. Seeing the two limping figures, Chen Shi whistled proudly, Wudi is so lonely. Chen Shi quickly packed up the battlefield and was ready to go back to his room to rest. He had been running around for several days and didn't get a good night's sleep. Imagination is beautiful, but reality is cruel, and everything will not be transferred by his will. Peggy had already heard the movement upstairs. Day and night defense, home thieves were difficult to prevent, only half a day, they were succeeded. Raven, my sister will give you a good show tonight, you have to cooperate with my sister. Peggy's eyes flashed fiercely, making you feel sorry for me. Okay, Raven will definitely cooperate. Raven knew his favorite show was about to begin. The whole villa is quiet, the masters are sleeping, and the chef and nanny are also happy to relax. Definitely, the culprit of everything is naturally Chen Shi, who first injured Amaterasu and the princess, and then was pulled by Peggy to perform with Raven. Howard on the other side didn't sleep well all night after he went back yesterday, and his mind was full of learning magic. Excited and uneasy, because Chen Shi told him that magic requires ability. Although he boasted and sold himself as the smartest person in America, he still didn't know anything about the mysterious side. Maybe he really had no magical ability. Repeatedly unable to sleep all night, Howard swears that this is the earliest day in his life, and he can't wait to run to Chen Zai's side as soon as the sun rises. But it hurts that the nanny told him that Chen Shi would never get up so early, and let him sit and drink tea and wait. Howard looked at his watch. It was only 6:30. When will this happen? There's no way this guy can drive to Chinatown again to eat authentic soy milk fritters and dumplings. Well, he has developed the habit of eating these things, and he was brought by Chen Shi. Howard, who was full of food and drink, almost collapsed, because it was 8 o'clock when he came back, and no one got up. Waiting left and right, when he fell asleep on the sofa, Chen Shi came out slowly, looking at the time, it was 10:30. You, cousin, get up, you've worked hard, when are we going to learn magic? Howard was suddenly furious, and he just spit out a word, but he held it back abruptly. The world is so beautiful, but I am irritable. I endure it. Chen Shi glanced at him lightly. Demo, if you want to learn magic, just endure it. Just when Howard's patience reached his throat, Chen Shi spoke first. Come on, let's go. What the hell? Howard almost choked to death in one breath. He endured the anger for a long time, brewing for a long time to break out, but was blocked by Chen Shi. I endure, can't be mad. Howard kept reciting the word forbearance in his heart. Be a good ninja turtle. When sparks appeared in the living room, the quaint buildings on the other side came into Howard's eyes. This time all the anger disappeared, and I looked curiously, is this the world of magician? Here I am Howard, waiting for me. Chen Shi directly took Howard and stepped into Kamar Taj, interrupting Howard's fantasies. Ancient One, here I come. Chen Shi shouted carelessly from outside the door, now he has stabbed a hornet's nest. You dare to make noise in Kamar Taj, this is holy land. Do you dare to report the name? The disciples of Ancient One were filled with righteous indignation when they saw such an unruly guy who despised the Sorcerer Supreme, and they were taught a lesson to this madman. Destroyed under Sha Chen, come to kick the gym. When Howard heard it, he rolled his eyes. This guy is too bad, the ghost knows who Chen Defang is, and he still pretends to be like this. Okay, then let me experience your great tricks. A fat man who looked a lot like Wang Chong stood up. Stop, this is my honored guest, I'll leave. Ancient One naturally knew everything about the outside world. She was quite speechless to Chen Shi. This guy was running the train with his mouth full, but he didn't speak the truth. If she doesn't go out, this Kamar Taj will be demolished. Yo, Ancient One, if you don't come out again, I'm almost ready to dismantle this Kamar Taj. Chen Shi said carelessly. Ancient One was suddenly depressed. This was not enough for her to guess. The people under my command don't understand the rules, please forgive me. Master. The magician of his subordinates was furious. This is so obviously Chen Dangdang is provoking trouble. Okay, back off, Chen Shi is joking with you guys. Ancient One defends Chen Shi again. This guy is so boring, he just wants to do something. His wish could not be fulfilled. The disciples withdrew gloomily, and the master said so. What else can you do? This person is probably not worse than the master, right? Howard, come with me. I'll see your ability. Ancient One looked at Howard and said lightly, magician ability ranked first. Hearing Ancient One's words, Howard was also quite uneasy. This is the time to decide his fate. What should I do? Ancient One magician, Howard asked very nervously, and the two rows of teeth began to fight. Hee, don't you be nervous. Come and learn the basics of magician on these pages and see how much you can master. Ancient One took out a magic book and let him learn the most basic magic knowledge from the first few books. And she and Chen Shi went to drink tea next door, leaving Howard to ponder slowly. Ancient One, do you feel his magic affinity and soul ability are high? Chen Shi asked directly. He knew what Ancient One could feel. After all, he had met face to face. Well, I have never come into contact with Howard. Originally, in all universes, Howard had the same fate, but I didn't expect it to be changed by you. The meaning of Ancient One is obvious. Howards in other universes do not have the ability of Sorcerer Supreme. What about the Howard of this universe? The ability is good, but unfortunately it is a little worse than strange, but it can also have the ability of the future Mordo and Wong. To tell the truth, Ancient One is still waiting for Strange, the destined Sorcerer Supreme. Chen Shi is not surprised. There is only one Sorcerer Supreme Tony in countless universes, and the probability of others is too small. After 2 hours, Howard read the pages, but was still confused and unable to understand. Okay, don't be discouraged, you have the ability, you can integrate magic into your mathematical operations, maybe there will be miraculous effects. Chen Shi said to Howard, because he vaguely remembered that Tony had done it. Okay, I'll try it later. Howard nodded. Then Ancient One, I'll go first. Howard, your best first magic is space teleportation, or she Stark goes bankrupt, you don't even know. After finishing speaking, Chen Shi left. He had no interest in boring magic. Wouldn't it be nice to go home and bask in the sun with his sister? In this way, Howard was abandoned by Chen Shi. You can't learn space teleportation, so don't even think about coming back. Maybe Stark went out of business, you don't know. At this time, Stark was on the right track, developing step by step, and Howard inspected it regularly. When Chen Shi returned to the manor, it was already more than 3 o'clock, and the leftovers were taken by the chef to feed the stray cats and dogs. Although it doesn't matter if he eats or not, can the habit that has been cultivated for decades be changed? So Chen Shi decided to go to Chinatown alone. He had never been there before, so he just wanted to try something special. Chinatown was already very popular during this period, and there were many Chinese people who avoided the war. It was naturally better than fighting alone. Chen Shi slid snacks with both hands and wandered aimlessly, no matter where he went. All the delicious food will be tasted, and the cooks at home will definitely be limited. How can there be so many delicious food outside? Superman's stomach is a bottomless pit. As long as there is delicious food, he will not be afraid, and it will be more than a rice bucket. Authentic Sichuan hot pot. As soon as Chen Shi looked up, he saw that a hot pot restaurant was still open, and he walked in immediately. Hot pot is his favorite. Yo, there is only one guest officer. The waiter still retains the domestic style of running the hall. Just me. Is your hall still a private room? The hall. Chen Shi thought about it. What a private room he wants by himself, it's a waste. Okay, sir, this is the menu, you can choose slowly, and you can just say hello. The waiter handed the menu to Chen Shi, and went to the front desk to chat with the girl, Spirit Boy. Soon Chen Shi handed the food he ordered to the waiter. Sir, are you sure you're right? This is at least 7 or 8. Have you eaten? The waiter had a questioning look on his face. That's too much. If it wasn't for Chen Zai's well-dressed, good-looking, and invincible handsome looks, he would have been bombarded long ago. Yes, hurry up and serve the food. I have a big appetite, and I have a lot of your money. Chen Shi smiled and told the waiter that it was normal for people to ask this question, and he really ordered a lot. After waiting for a while, the dishes began to be served one after another. There were too many, so the waiter prepared them in batches. Looking at the fiery red tumbling soup base, with a layer of dried chili turning up and down, this is spicy enough and delicious. Chen Shi ate all the vegetables he could eat. Anyway, he was not afraid of getting old, but he was afraid that he would not be able to catch up. Chen Zai's food here was very enjoyable, and the young waiter over there was dumbfounded. Good guy, I really didn't lie to him. Eating and eating, Chen Shi realized that something was wrong, and someone was watching him. Sure enough, according to his induction, there was a girl at the door swallowing her saliva. Her eyes were full of longing. She was probably starving. Seeing this, Chen Shi moved with compassion. He was neither a good person nor a bad person, but a person who did whatever he wanted. There are so many people in this world who suffer, so many poor people die every day because of wars. However, he saw this compatriot girl at the door, and he saw it in a foreign country. He helped him. For him, it was a matter of reaching out. Guy, you invite the girl outside and add some dishes. Chen Shi waved to the waiter. Well, you are a good person. In Chinatown, countless compatriots can't afford to eat every day, so I just asked if you could finish eating. The boy waiter said something, and went to call the little girl Liang to come in. Ji Yu Liang, come in, the guest inside called you to eat together. You're welcome, we are all compatriots. Seeing Xiao Guliang was embarrassed to come in, the guy said that everyone is a compatriot, and sure enough, Xiao Guliang is no longer hesitation. Okay, sir, it's arranged according to your instructions. The young waiter stepped back after saying that. Eat, little sister, you're welcome, everyone is from a foreign country, everyone is compatriots, and no one has a difficult time. Seeing that Aunt Liang was a little embarrassed, Chen Shi comforted her softly. Thank you. You are such a good person, you are the first person to invite me to dinner, and you don't dislike me. Xiao Guliang thanked Chen Shi very moved. Good guy, maybe, you eat first, and if you don't feel comfortable, change to a clear soup pot. Regarding being issued a good person card, Chen Shi expressed his helplessness. The good person card is not derogatory in this era. No need, no trouble, that's it. In this way, the two began to chat while eating. What's your name? Jubilation Li, how about you? Me, Chen Shi. Jubilation Li, it's such a familiar name, I always feel like I've heard it somewhere, and it's Chinese, but the time is a little off. Waste timeline, at least Jubilation Li was born in 20 years, right? Are your parents dead? They were doctors before, Chen Shi asked tentatively. You, how did you know? Jubilation Li was surprised, how did this man know? You don't need to worry. You will know later, because we are compatriots. Definitely Chen Zai's compatriot and Jubilation Li's understanding are different. Chen Shi began to slowly recall the information of Jubilation Li. Those who stepped on the horse, these people who graduated from the cartoon orphanage, could not have arranged the birth. Almost every mutant had a tragic start. After losing his parents, Jubilation Li was destitute and had no place to live, so he was sent to the Los Angeles Youth Hall. There she suffered a lot, but fortunately she learned how to protect herself later, and began to resist and contradict for the first time, and escaped. What skills can a girl alone have? Occasionally become a little thief, lacking skills, and often misses. Later, she was arrested by the police, and only awakening mutated ability in a desperate situation. But life got worse, and she was even more lonely and miserable, because she was a mutant and wanted to arrest her for experiments. Recalling these materials, looking at Jubilation Li with a tired and dirty face, Chen Shi felt very distressed. Come home with me, follow me in the future, no need to wander, no need to endure the cold and starve. Chen Shi blurted out. Home, can I still have a home? Jubilation Li heard the words, 2 lines of clear tears flowed out, She thought of the original home full of warmth, but unfortunately she can't go back. Don't cry, in the future, my home will be your home, and we will still have many family members. Chen Shi gently comforted this sensitive and fragile girl. He realized, he always felt that he had nothing to do all day, and he finally knew what to do. And there are thousands of mansions, and the world's poor people are all happy. He wants to provide shelter for mutants who are still suffering but have good intentions all over the world. Waiter, check out. When Jubilation Li was full, Chen Shi was ready to check out and take her home. She would be the first mutant he took in at the beginning of his career. Okay, it's 36 yuan in total. I'll wipe it off for you. Answer. Chen Shi is an uncle in his 40s. He listened to the waiter talking about it and admired Chen Shi very much for being able to lend a helping hand to his compatriots. Okay, then thank you uncle, goodbye, come back next time. The boss is a good person, and Chen Shi naturally has to thank others. The 6 yuan in this year is not the 6 yuan in the 70 or 80 years. So, Qian Huan, let's find a place, you can clean up, what a beautiful girl, isn't it? Chen Shi said to Jubilation Li with a smile. Hearing this, Jubilation Li was a little embarrassed, his face was red, and he was dirty and rancid. He had to clean up. Big brother listens to you. Jubilation Li was a little embarrassed. Chen Shi took her to find a hotel. They all have water rooms, so naturally, they can take a hot bath soon. Soon, the new Jubilation Li made Chen's eyes shine. Jubilation Li immediately metamorphosis into a lively and lovely little girl, with a fair face, a pair of watery eyes under the curved eyebrows. It's definitely of the Xiaojiabiyu type, and it's a bit like the prototype of a hibiscus. It's the clothes that seriously affect her beauty. Let's go, I'll take you to buy clothes, so pretty girl is covered by clothes. Chen Shi nodded, thinking of this, just do what you say, go shopping for clothes. Ah, will it be too expensive? Expensive, brother has money. As soon as Chen Shi heard the mention of money, he immediately showed the temperament of a local tyrant. Shi Stark's dividends are still a little bit worse. Chen Shi, who brought Jubilation Li, has transformed dozens of shops near the city center, and bought a lot of clothes for Jubilation Li, including skirts, coats, shoes, pants and so on. He also bought a lot of clothes for several women in the family. Chen Shi estimated that if he didn't buy them, he wouldn't want to sleep at night. With Chen Zai's supervision plus perspective, he can understand their bodies better than the women in the family. Buy a bunch of them and secretly stuff them into the system space without any burden, just scared Jubilation Li, big brother, are you an immortal? To Jubilation Li's surprised look, Chen Shi just touched her head. It's a secret, and you'll find out later. Everyone has their own secrets, just like herself, why not have secrets? Why bother to get to the bottom of things and make people unhappy? When definitely shopping, Chen Shi was taken advantage of by many beautiful girl clerks. In short, it was a big loss. A group of female perverts, I want to curse them in circles. Throwing away the addresses stuffed in his pockets, Chen Shi let out a sigh of relief. In the future, things like shopping, leave it to others. Your personal safety is too important. Jubilation Li, who was sitting in the co-pilot, covered his mouth and snickered. It was so funny. Who made this guy so handsome? Quietly staring at this big brother man who seems to be next door, just looking at her makes me crazy. When she is in distress, wandering the streets, hungry and full, occasionally being a little thief, and often misses, just when she is alone and helpless. He appeared on the colorful auspicious clouds. Like angel, he spread his wings to her, leading her to break through the darkness and run towards the light. Silly girl, don't look at it, the years to come are endless, and I won't run. Seeing Jubilation Li's silly expression, Chen Shi felt embarrassed. Hee, I'm sorry, I'm fascinated. Jubilation Li laughed when he heard it, this guy is still shy, interesting. Chen Shi concentrated on driving, while Jubilation Li sat quietly, looking out the window, not knowing what to think. It's better to come early than to come by coincidence. I have a meal and go shopping. It's past 7 o'clock when I get home, just in time for the food to be served. Chen Shi is not hungry, but Jubilation Li is still hungry. She is just an ordinary girl and she is growing. Shopping is exhausting. Hey, husband, where did you kidnap your sister from? You scumbag. Peggy suddenly saw Jubilation Lee hiding behind Chen-Shi, and she was immediately angry. The women in the family were one after the other. It was so crazy. Peggy, don't make trouble. I met Qian Huan in the afternoon, and she is also a poor child. Looking at the angry Peggy, Chen-Shi hurriedly hugged Peggy and explained to her the tragic life of Jubilation Lee seriously. Qian Huan, I'm sorry, Sister Peggy misunderstood you. This is your home from now on. Can you treat me as a sister? Peggy was already in tears after hearing this. Why is this girl so unfortunate? God doesn't have eyes. Raven, who felt the same way, also burst into tears while hugging Jubilation Lee. Jubilation Lee was hit harder than she was because she never owned it and was not afraid of losing it. She had never felt the love of her parents, and Jubilation Lee's suffering was too great, and it directly plunged her into the abyss. Seeing the emotional women crying together, Chen-Shi let out a long sigh of relief. He was finally relieved that the women he saw were magnanimous and reasonable. After a long time, they finally calmed down and pulled Jubilation Lee to sit down to eat, while Chen-Shi seemed to be directly forgotten by them. With a pouted mouth, Chen-Shi spit out, having sisters, forget about men. This night, Amaterasu and Princess Chick were cheap, and Peggy wanted to take Jubilation Lee together, and the two of them had to chat and guide Jubilation Lee. That day, Zhao and the princess will naturally fulfill their duties as maids, which is also acquiesced by Peggy. Since Jubilation Lee was taken in by Chen-Shi, Chenzai's manor has slowly become a mutant adoption center. As soon as the Golden Wind and Jade do meet, they will win, but there are countless people in the world. Jubilation Lee looked at the man teasing the stray cat in the yard with infinite warmth in his heart. After so many days of homeless life, she felt for the first time what it means to feel safe. She didn't have to wake up from her sleep and wet her clothes with tears. Hi, good morning, Qian Huan, look at how cute and smart these cats and dogs are. Chen-Shi greeted her with a smile, and introduced her to these stray cats and dogs. Looking at these stray cats and dogs, Jubilation Lee burst into tears. They seemed like themselves. He was so kind to them, so kind to these little critters, no wonder he took in himself. Hey, these little guys are smart. Since we came, the chef will leave the leftovers for them to eat, and one by one will settle down nearby. Chen-Shi went on to explain why there are so many cats and dogs. Picking up a very fat orange cat, Jubilation Lee also happily cuddled the fat cat. They are all who they used to be. Hey, Sister Qianwan, look at the orange cat in your hand that hasn't eaten for almost 10 minutes, it's all hungry and thin. Raven casually picked up a beautiful short and rubbed it, looking at the fat cat mockingly. Ha ha ha, I'm dying of laughter. Raven, you are such a genius. As soon as Chen-Shi heard this, pissed laughed. Raven, are you a transmigrator? Oh, you're so fat, you're so cute, you're the cat of my dreams. The real Hammer, Raven is the one who escaped, the transmigrator Raven. Ha ha ha, Raven gives you a thumbs up. In the future, you will be the pistachio of the villa. This is good, the whole villa is infected with smiles, a good day starts with a happy mood. There are many organizations in the Marvel world, such as S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra, which are familiar to everyone. These two are very familiar. There is also a Shenzhen bureau in Huaxia, but there is not much information, and the mystery is mysterious. The Chinese tradition is Tibetan clumsiness. The Illuminati also appeared in the comics. It can be said to be the most powerful organization. It is organized by the founders such as Doctor Strange, Iron Man Tony, Shen Gong, Professor X, Black Bolt, and Namor to prevent and resist various crises on the Earth. Chen-Shi met another big organization today, Su Lian's Leviathan organization. It's unfortunate for Howard. A few days ago, Stark Industries' weapons went to the black market, and Congress gave him a sentenced hat directly. History Stark Industries has been forcibly closed, the truth is unknown, don't even think about production. The Howards sit at home, the pot is coming from the sky, and they study magic in Kamar Taj, and this is a big event. Jarvis hurried to the villa just after they had breakfast and told Chen-Shi about it, and only Chen-Shi could find Howard. Jarvis, don't worry, I'm also a shareholder of Stark Industries, and I'm also the one who lost, I'll take care of it. Seeing the anxious Jarvis, Chen-Shi first spoke out to comfort Jarvis. Don't get excited, he bullied him on the head, he really went to the toilet with a lantern, courting death. Now the SSR in the United States has identified Howard for treason, and he sold molecular bombs to other countries. Howard also deserved it. As a playboy, he hooked up with a beautiful woman, and that person was a bait for Leviathan, so Howard was like this, and he was caught out at once. Unexpectedly, the plot of Carter's agent did not have Peggy, but it still happened. As long as you find two guys, Raymond and Bannis, you can find the Leviathan organization. The boss of an underworld organization and a thief, these two really hide deep enough, but how can they resist telepathy? It just happened that Peggy was idle. Let's take her to play, let her slap the face of those bureaucrats who look down on women. Raymond was hiding in the Martinique Club, Bannis was supplying him with molecular bombs, and after a few days, they would never trade the produced molecular bombs. Raymond in the office is talking to his blonde secretary, his peculiarity is blonde beauties. Suddenly, a meal of sparks slowly turned into a huge amount of aperture, almost scaring him. You, who are you? I have no enmity with you, right? When he saw two figures coming out of it, he asked tremblingly. No grievances and no enmity. Where do you start? Our molecular bombs are fun, right? Chen Shi said sarcastically. Yours. Are you Stark Industries? Raymond reacted instantly. He regretted it. It was obviously because he walked too much at night and ran into a ghost. If he knew that Stark had such a big guy, he wouldn't cooperate with Bannis if he killed him. Raymond's face suddenly turned ashen. He knew that his best outcome would be for the boss to give him a good time, otherwise, life would be better than death. Okay, if you dare to do it, you must be brave, and in the next life, make your tricks brighter. He didn't want to talk too much about such a little guy, he directly controlled him with telepathy, it's still useful now, let's become a puppet. Peggy also found a large amount of telegram information in his safe, as well as ledger information that Bannis was hiding in the Roxxon refinery. Peggy, let's go, send these evidences to the SSR Director Dury, and then catch Bannis and control him to spit out the truth will help Howard clear his name. By the way, after clearing the memories of the blonde secretary, and dragging Raymond with eyes like a dead dog, Chen Shi went directly back to the basement of the villa. As for Bannis, leave it to the SSR's agent. If this trivial matter can't be done well, they might as well disband on the spot. Peggy took these evidences and the dead dog Raymond to the secret base SSR. She was a former member and returned to the old place. This time, she went with the attitude of a winner. Similar to Chen Zai's imagination, Peggy went to SSR's secret base, and naturally met contempt at the beginning. Yo, isn't this the former Carter's agent? I can't get along anymore, do you want to come back? Don't, she's a famous Kata female agent, how can we be compared with the elders? As soon as I met the guard, I didn't even enter the gate, and I was ridiculed by the guard at the gate. Go away, you are all worthy of watching the gate in your life. Go and inform your Dury, and say that Howard's treason case, I solved it. Peggy immediately despised these two garbage who only deserved to be a gatekeeper. Just you, can you solve such a big case? She's still dreaming. When the two heard Peggy's words, they immediately became happy. There was no clue in the bureau, so she solved the case. Snapped. When Peggy goes up, it is 2 slaps. Peggy, whose physical fitness has already doubled, is not as simple as swatting flies. The movement at the door naturally alarmed the people in the bureau, including SSR's Dury. Peggy, this is not your home. If you keep making such a fuss, I'll arrest you. Du Li, the director, was furious when he saw that his subordinates were so useless. What a shame for Lao Su. Dury, this man is the black market businessman who sold Stark Industrial bombs. Here are his telegrams, accounts, and the thief's hiding place with the thief. Peggy kicked the controlled Raymond to Dury's feet and threw the information on the ground. Proudly turn around and go. You are too mad, stop, who knows if it's true or not. Seeing Peggy's bunker-like attitude, Dury, who has always looked down on her, couldn't help but yell. You fools, believe it or not, I think the Congress sees that you idiots can't solve the case for a long time, and will they disband you on the spot. Peggy stopped and glanced around mockingly. I'm not targeting you Dury alone, but everyone here is trash. You. Du Li pointed at Peggy and held it back for a long time without letting out a single fart. He didn't dare to say nonsense. He had to believe Peggy's stubborn expression. With the smile of a winner, like a proud peacock, Peggy walked away with her head held high. Leaving behind a group of SSR agents, you look at me, I look at you, staring at each other. Go away, do you have nothing to do when you are idle? Dooley cursed loudly, picked up the documents and ran back to the office in a daze. This is the most tragic thing for him. In the manner, Chen Shi looked at Peggy, who was walking lightly, and he knew that Mrs. Wife raised her eyebrows and slapped her face once. How is it? It's cool, right? Chen Shi hugged her and asked with a smile. That's right, you didn't see the faces of those people, they were as ugly as eating dead flies, haha, especially that Dury, who died like his own father. The key is to stick out his face and beat me. Ha ha ha. Peggy was so excited that she described the scene to Chen Shi and laughed proudly. Let you look down on women, my husband beats you all out, what a jerk, my husband is a genius, he has the ability to beat me. Looking at this proud little woman, Chen Shi smiled slowly, it is so easy to be satisfied, I am so lucky to have them. Junwizi, bring Peggy a glass of water, didn't you see madam walking all the way, are you thirsty? It's becoming more and more unruly recently. Looking at the princess girl reading a book on the reclining chair, Chen Shi immediately took out the momentum of the landlord's old wealth, these two girls, more and more floating. What's so fierce, why don't people go? Junwizi pouted, and reluctantly went to pour the water. Stop laughing, Amaterasu continues to come over and squeeze the shoulders of the master, or Amaterasu is obedient. Chen Shi lay down again, basking in the sun. This unpretentious life of slowly laying down salted fish and getting stronger was too boring. Pissed, stinky husband, you know how to bully the sisters, Amaterasu ignores him, let's go play. Peggy looked at Chen Zai's frowning face and immediately burst out laughing. He pulled up Amaterasu and pulled Maiko, who was pouring water, into the living room, took out a deck of playing cards, and started fighting the landlord. This was invented by Chen Shi. The girls had nothing to do, so it was just for their entertainment. Unexpectedly, they also fell in love with the landlord. Definitely, it is impossible to play with Chen Shi. They know that Chen Shi must have cheated, otherwise how could they win all the games? I still remember that this guy didn't play with money and bet on clothes, but of course, needless to say, several of them lost cleanly, and they were all eaten by him. Since then, Chen Shi has become a loner, a cheating guy, and will never play with him again. Hey, invincible loneliness, Chen Shi muttered miserably as he watched the girls play without him. Big brother, let me bask in the sun with you, I don't understand what they are playing. Wang Tian pays off, and finally someone is moved by his invincible and lonely figure. Isn't this Jubilation Li delivered to the door? Well, I think this chair is too big for two people. Let's squeeze and warm up. Chen Shi looked at the pure and moving Jubilation Li and said shamelessly, where is it cold? It's only November. Well, I think so too, it's a bit cold, let's squeeze. Yes, it's too cold, I want Chen Shi big brother to hug, what a chance, come on Jubilation Li, accept him or be accepted by him. Cheering on himself, Jubilation Li quickly got into Chen Zai's arms with a guilty conscience, not forgetting to look around. Good, it's okay, Peggy and the others won't care. Let's bask in our sun. Chen Shi whispered in Jubilation Li's ear, causing Jubilation Li's ears to turn red. See, this is a scumbag. He blatantly steals people outside when we play cards, and kills him together at night. Seeing this, Peggy immediately gritted her teeth and killed him, this scumbag. Hee, we listen to you, you are the captain, the hero Peggy Kate Ryder. The princess girl laughed at Peggy with a smile. Chen Shi doesn't know yet, there is another fierce battle waiting for him at night, definitely he knows and won't care, it's just a normal level dungeon. Chen Shi felt that he was a diligent bee buzzing around, busy picking flowers and making nectar, because only diligent people could eat. The dungeon of a night team battle, and finally cleared the level easily. The losers are hugging together to keep warm. It is really courageous and courageous. Ding, the new week's sign-in has begun, please sign in the master. Ding, the new week's sign-in has begun, please sign in the master. The sound of the system kept echoing in his mind again, and Chen Shi, who was eating sweet jujube in a daze, immediately woke up. Sign in, don't make any noise. Hey, Invincible, I still have to sign in, can I change it? Labor and capital have long been invincible. Ding! Congratulations to the master who successfully signed in and obtained a small umbrella base, please place it properly. What the hell is this? Did you change the map to turn this into the Marvel Zombies universe? System, please explain, what is this umbrella factory doing? Chen Shi felt that he had to figure it out, this is a hot potato. Ding! Don't worry, Master, the security measures of this factory are completely assured, and the clones inside have not been activated. Hearing this, Chen Shi was relieved. They were all clones. The memories were implanted, and they were relatively more loyal. Umbrella, the giant that dominated the world in the Resident Evil crisis, everyone's life cannot be avoided without the Umbrella Group. Then his Marvel Umbrella Company will only be stronger, because Marvel has so many perverts. Chen Shi was not in a hurry to extract it, he used his super will to get up from the bed and almost caught fire. Hey, JARVIS, help me register a company called Umbrella, you can figure out the rest, with a registered capital of 100,000. When Chen Shi walked to the living room, he immediately called JARVIS to help him register a company. Now that Howard is learning magic, JARVIS has become his housekeeper. Okay, sir, then choose your manor as the company address. Alright, you can do it. The address doesn't matter, anyway, if it gets bigger in the future, it's enough to give him 3 or 2 years. Money can make a ghost run the mill. Chen Shi then went to a very famous construction team in New York to directly increase the market price by 30%, so that they could build an underground base in the shortest time according to his requirements. Isn't it an underground base covering an area of several hundred acres? You can rest assured that it will be completed for you within a week. The person in charge patted his chest and assured that there would be no problem, it was nothing to worry about. Chen Shi sighed in his heart, looking at what he said, it really deserves to be the construction team of the Marvel world, that is, newbie. Whether it's the destruction of superhero, the destruction of supervillains, or the destruction of alien invasion, Marvel's construction team will build you another Empire State Building in a month. That afternoon, the construction team started work. Chen Shi planned to get through the rest of the villas around 10 meters away from the manor. Husband, what are you doing? You want to demolish the house? Seeing the construction scene in full swing, Peggy asked, very puzzled. Don't think blindly, am I an unreliable person? This is a secret, you will know when it is built. Chen Shi immediately rolled his eyes at Peggy and said mysteriously. The captain of the harem knights, Peggy, ended the questioning on their behalf, and everyone dispersed, playing cards and playing cards. In the evening, JARVIS came with a bunch of documents. Anyway, the company's business was done. It happened that everyone hadn't had a party for a long time, so Chen Shi called Charles and Eric's mother and son over and started a party. A new company is established, and Stark Industries has reopened. Isn't it something to celebrate? Chen Shi specially went to Chinatown to invite a master of barbecue, beer and drinks, small barbecue, not much better than some broken Western food. Eric Charles has never eaten a Chinese-style barbecue. The barbecue ingredients are sprinkled on top, the aroma is fragrant, and the fat of the barbecue drips onto the charcoal fire, making a puff-puff sound, which is really pleasant. A few years younger can't be restrained when eating, and they don't have the skill of sticking skewers at home. As a result, their face is full of oil, and there are several big troubles. Even if their faces are oily, they don't care. What is this? This is too good. Peggy and the others were much more reserved, not like they devoured, but ate slowly. There are definitely no fancy lights and sound at the party at this time. Everyone listens to the music of the old record player, blows the evening breeze, drinks beer, and opens up their hearts, not to mention how pleasant it is. Chen Shi looked around at the friends and family in this circle, looked up at the starry sky, and filled his heart with infinite emotion. I'm on this side of the starry sky, you're on the other side of the starry sky, it's very far apart. The splendid eternity, the endless distance, can never meet again. Late at night, I look up at the starry sky alone, and silently bless you. Goodbye, my reality universe, I have found like-minded friends and a lifelong partner. People who have helped me, bless you. People who have looked down on me, thank you too, you make me strong. Quote, Chen Shi looked at the smiling girls and realized that his life was so rich. Husband, thank you, everything you gave to our sisters changed our destiny. Peggy hugged him gently. She just looked at Chen Zai's deep eyes full of happiness and contentment, and her temperament changed, as if a layer of shackles was broken. Chapter 51. Destiny. I really can't see through it. The arrival of Chen Shi, like a prehistoric giant crocodile came to the sea, made the whole world boil. In just 2 months, he robbed Tesseract, changed Peggy's sad future life, changed the fate of Howard who was doomed to death, and gave the wandering Raven and Jubilation Lee a warm home. And with the passage of time, all the predetermined destiny will be rewritten by him. Slowly, his strength will far exceed the movie universe, and he is destined to block the way of some great gods. I want to be a good person, then OAA has no reason to take action. The gods, a bunch of scumbags. The 5 gods, I don't care. Adam in the life court. Give me time, and I will surpass him. But the thought of OAA hurts. What if he thinks I'm in the way? Or I can get the power of the original transcendence. Primordial transcendence. When you seek death, you must leave all your power to me, boss. God is inherently dead, or lighter than a feather, or heavier than Mount Tai. Before you die, please fulfill me, Emmy Hare, benefactor. I will not go to hell. Whoever goes to hell, give me this invincible burden. Chen Shi was confused by Peggy's fate for a long time, but it seemed that his thoughts slipped again in the end. The time to be immersed in the fantasy world is really fast. It was 11 o'clock at first glance, so I got up and said to the group of drunks, "Okay, it's getting late, you can go to the villa next door and find a room for yourself to sleep in, let's go." Chen Shi asked everyone to go back to their own homes and find their own mothers, but the main villa prohibits all male creatures from staying overnight. "Well, let's go, Eric, we're going to sleep in the same room tonight. Charles, whoever sleeps with you. What about the one who agreed to be a quilt friend? Go away, I'm talking about a lifetime." The 2 middle school teens directly exposed their true nature through the wine, hooked their shoulders, and staggered away. "Eric, a professional daughter, don't bend it, give birth to a daughter well, it will be a baby in the future, and it's not in vain for me to save your mother's life." Chen Shi was looking forward to Eric very much, and after speaking, he went back to the room to brush up the teamfight dungeon. Early the next morning, Chen Shi heard 2 shrill screams coming from the villa next door. It turned out that the 2 friends really shared a quilt. Poor. During breakfast, they both looked at each other with resentful eyes, causing Chen Shi to almost spray their breakfast laughter on them. Okay, what's the big deal? Hurry up and go to school after eating, grinding." Chen Shi quickly persuaded these 2 guys. What if they looked at each other and had feelings for each other? Humph. The 2 snorted at the same time, and then quickly grabbed the meal, otherwise they would be late for school. A week passed quickly, and the underground building requested by Chen Shi was completed. The base that is 10 meters deep into the ground is absolutely solid, and the underground ventilation, sewers, and electricity are all top-level materials. And all kinds of rooms, offices, bathrooms, warehouses, workshops, are also readily available. Offices, furniture, have also been put into use. The speed of the construction team is very fast, and Chen Zai's payment speed is not slow, and it has been delivered to the person in charge in advance. Chen Shi came to the underground base and directly extracted the small umbrella factory in the system space. All kinds of equipment were placed in good condition in an instant, and the clones were activated. "Hello, Chairman, I am Bane, the head of the factory, and I will lead all the staff to report to you. If there is anything, you can tell me. Please give the chairman a lesson." The middle-aged white man speaking in front of him is the person in charge of this factory. "My colleagues, it's still the 1940s, and our umbrella's future will be brighter than ever. Whether medicine, medical care, education, communication, etc., all walks of life will be my umbrella world. It's all up to you to fight for it." Quote. When Chen Shi saw this group of clones, he immediately drew a pie for them and painted a blueprint for the future. "Please rest assured, Chairman, we will do our best and do our best." The memories that the hundreds of clones were systematically implanted were obviously of this era, but that knowledge was of the future. Chen Shi used psychological suggestion again. "I believe that they will gradually become Chen Zai's diehard. Bane, you come with me, I have something to explain to you." Chen Shi disbanded them, and brought Bond to the office again, where he wanted to arrange the next development. "Bane, with Umbrella's biotechnology level, we can produce several simple medicines that far exceed this era. Let's harvest the first wave of leaks. Understood, Chairman. It's very simple. For Umbrella, it's not worth mentioning, Bond said confidently. By the way, I will arrange a few scientists to come in a few days. They are the top ones at present. At that time, Umbrella will definitely be able to develop better products. Chen Shi suddenly thought of Dr. Erskine, and Zola, a coward with 5 short statures, seemed to have also been arrested. This group of geniuses with an IQ of 6, Chen Shi will not waste their ability. A few days later, Dr. Erskine was taken to the base. Seeing these experimental equipment that spanned the ages, Erskine immediately said that this was his home. On the other hand, Zola, who was trapped in prison, is also grateful to Chen Shi for saving him. With such a cross-century device, you don't need to be in prison, so it shouldn't be too perfect. During the period, Chen Shi also signed in once, but unfortunately signed a lonely, $1 million household. Big brother, you deserve it. Definitely not nothing. Umbrella can be said to be an instant hit during the period. Yes, he made a lot of money. The clones analyzed the market and launched the little blue pill Viagra ahead of schedule. Because the war was over and countless soldiers returned to America, the little blue pills went crazy. In any case, no matter how the outside world evaluates Umbrella, it is a fire. Even the outrageous price of $5 apiece can't stop people's enthusiasm. Soldiers who have endured for a few months and a year are everywhere, and their hearts are naturally hot, but after a few days, no one can bear it, so this good thing has become a life-saving straw. This thing can come faster than selling arms, and the cost is extremely high. Chen Shi instantly turned into a millionaire, which is real cash. Chen Shi, who has money, knows that small pills can only explode for a period of time, and then the sales will naturally decrease gradually. In the next few months, Umbrella launched new types of common cold medicines, antipyretics, anti-inflammatory drugs, and beat those similar products on the market. Some high-end potions are not yet suitable to appear, and it is the kingly way to slowly cut the leaks. The office of the chief executive in New York welcomed a heavyweight boss today, Umbrella's president, Bond. Welcome, Mr. Bain, this is our first time meeting. Rand greeted Bain with a smile and shook hands. Mr. Rand, this time I came here. Our chairman of Umbrella sent me to take a piece of land and build the Umbrella headquarters. Bond said straight to the point. I don't know what your company is looking for. New York is quite big. A 100-acre lot in the suburbs of Manhattan. It's not too big or too small, it's almost half a square kilometer, and the price is not cheap in this regard, Rand said with a pretense of embarrassment. The price is easy to say, we can bid up to $100,000. Bond opened his mouth and said $100,000. No problem, we can sign the contract right away. Rand is overjoyed. This is good, at least we can get $10,000, haha. This fool. Happy cooperation. Mr. Rand, happy cooperation. Bond stepped forward to hug him and plucked one of his hair secretly. Soon, the land was approved, and news of the construction of Umbrella's headquarters soon spread. The office building that Umbrella rented has been crowded out. In the past 2 months, Umbrella has been resounding throughout the United States. Now the construction of the new headquarters naturally attracts all construction teams, design companies, material suppliers and construction workers. Those are all green banknotes. Anyway, a company will definitely not be able to eat it. Let's have some soup for our small company, right? Everyone, come up with your works based on your ability, we will naturally screen them. Umbrella is not bad for money. To drive the employment of thousands of people, the government will definitely support it, the green light all the way, rich and willful. At the moment, Chen Shi burst into tears. Because I finally signed a useful thing, a storage ring, which is 1,000 cubic meters. Think about the shit that I signed in before, the stone stepped on by the immortals in the fairy world, the pacifier of Crayon Shin-chan, and the dog basin of the roaring dog. But this storage ring is a hot potato. It is not good to give it to anyone. Which of the rest can spare him? While Chen Shi was fiddling with the storage ring, Raven came back from school. Hey, big brother, do you have a ring in your hand? It's so delicate. This guy was very sharp-eyed. It's nothing. Hey, you're here too, Emma. Chen Shi flashed a word and immediately changed the subject. Don't say it. Emma's father said that Emma will not be allowed to come to our house in the future. Raven was depressed when he mentioned this, and his attention was immediately diverted. What's the matter, Emma? Tell me, I can help you solve it. Chen Shi asked with concern. What else? His father said Emma is going to marry a big shot, no gossip. Before Emma could speak, Raven finished speaking in a sudden burst. Tisk, there is such an old guy. It's all right, Emma, I ate dinner tonight, I'll accompany you, and you will live here in the future. Chen Shi sighed. The capitalists with dark hearts are almost the same, but why is Emma also his person, bullying her? You look down on me, Chen Destruction. During dinner time, Raven told everyone about Emma's story. The girls were indignant when they heard it. Chen Shi, who got the will, asked Bon to go with him. Only someone who waved the flag and shouted was enough to be ostentatious. How could the boss play in person? You still know how to come back. The driver said that you took a classmate's car to play, and you don't have to come back in the future. As soon as the three of Chen Shi entered the door, they heard Emma's father yelling at him. It was a childhood misfortune to meet such a father. Mr. Winston Frost, do you have a good temper? Are you insulting the future wife of Umbrella's company? Or do you think you're okay again? Want to challenge my Umbrella Majesty? Quote. Bon was furious. You kid can do it, just stood up. Dare to insult Mrs. Are you Mr. Bon? How dare I scold you, let alone Umbrella's wife, you know it. Winston stepped forward and looked. Darling, isn't this the famous Umbrella president, Mr. Bon, and immediately put on a flattering smile. Oh, is that so, Mr. Winston Frost? You didn't offend me, but you offended Our Lady, Barnaby said without a smile. What, you mean Emma is Umbrella's wife? This, I don't know. Emma, Dad, I'm sorry, forgive Dad, okay. This guy's wind direction is quite fast, and his ability to see the wind and rudder is a must. Emma is now thinking about Mrs. Umbrella, is this his acquiescence? As soon as Chen Shi appeared in her world half a year ago, she was amazed by her time and occupied her heart. Now it seems that she has to taste her wish. Emma, just go and pack some clothes first. There are other important things. I'll buy the rest later, darling, go. Hearing Chen Zai's words, Emma finally felt relieved. She would be his person from now on. Who is this? Winston asked nervously. He guessed, there was a big shot behind the scenes. Don't be nervous, it's Umbrella's chairman Chen Shi. I'm here today. I didn't think about asking you to settle accounts. How can you raise Emma so much, and then Emma will leave with me and write it off? Chen Shi smiled, said. Although Chen Zai's tone looked amiable, Winston knew that he would eat people without spitting bones. Yes, I promise not to disturb Emma, don't worry. You will still do things. With your guarantee, I can rest assured. After Chen Shi finished speaking, he patted him on the shoulder. This kind of calm threat scared Winston into a cold sweat. Could this kill me at any time? Just when Winston was on pins and needles, feeling the air was choking him, Emma came down. Call. Winston sighed quietly. Chen Shi big brother, let's go. After Emma finished speaking, he glanced at his father and said softly, goodbye. Mr. Winston, goodbye. Oh, by the way, if you are interested, Umbrella's headquarters needs a material supplier, you can try it. This is Emma's last compensation for him, the compensation for raising her for more than 10 years. Thank you, Mr. Chen. Winston is overjoyed. This is a surprise. It's worth selling a daughter. Emma followed Chen Shi, and the laughter on the way home did not stop. She was finally free and left her cold family. She followed her angel. Emma, welcome to join our big family, we will be family and good sisters in the future. Yeah, welcome Emma, we can go to school together later. Hey, it seems that Emma is not the only one who is happy, looking at someone's mouth will crack. The girls talked in a fuss, and the harmonious family atmosphere made Emma's uneasy heart finally settle down. Definitely, the arrogant princess chick is a little jealous and depressed, her status has dropped again, when will she be ahead? Pia, why are you hitting me? I don't want to be ashamed in front of so many people. Junweizi was even more depressed. Little maid, you have no points in your heart. Punish you alone at night. Chen Shi rolled her eyes at her immediately. Ah, I was wrong, master, I won't dare again next time. When Junweizi heard it, she was frightened to death and punished alone, so she wouldn't even remember it in the morning. No, it's wrong. Hurry up and beat the master's leg. Yes, yes, come here. The princess chick persuaded not to. Everyone was speechless, and the plot of the old landlord and the aggrieved maid was staged again. The next day, Raven, Emma, Jubilation Lee went to school, and Peggy went to work in Umbrella. She couldn't take time, so go ahead. Chen Shi in the yard took out the tesseract, looked at it carefully, and gradually his whole mind seemed to be attracted by it. Deep blue, but with escaping light, beautiful like a sea of stars immersed in endless silence. How am I supposed to absorb it? Raw, will this stuff jam my teeth? Crack. Chen Shi was depressed. The little fairy told him to absorb it earlier, and said he could do it. What should he do? Really want to eat? Want to try it? Just do it. Chen Shi was about to crush the tesseract and take out the space gem, when an idea suddenly popped up. I almost broke it. Who will give me the mind gem? If the rich boy Thanos and Loki didn't know the tesseract was on Earth, they'd give a shit. Oh, yes, space teleportation. With a slap on the forehead, isn't this very simple? In an instant, a portal was opened inside the tesseract, and Loki could use space magic to hide the tesseract in the dimensional space. Can't he do it? Swish. An unruly and breathtaking blue gem appeared in the palm of his hand, quietly motionless, without any violent look. It seems that the plot Red Skull was sent by Tesseract to guard Soul Gem, and it was arranged by someone. It's okay with so many people getting it, only Red Skull is arranged. To eat or not to eat, that's a question. To fight or not to fight, that's another question. It's up to fate. Chen Shi watched the space gem grit his teeth, or was he going to eat it to see? Would the dignified ancient Destruction Day be afraid of a small space gem? He wasn't afraid, but for the safety of his family, Chen Shi was sent directly to the moon. As for the Inhumans, I'm sorry, but you still pray. Fight, grandmas. Chen Shi gritted his teeth, closed his eyes, and directly ate the space gem into his stomach. The ancient Doomsday gene suddenly began to frantically devour the infinite energy of the space gem like a great supplement. The originally quiet space gem is worth it at first glance. Although Brother's energy is almost endless, you can't grab it. Space gem has no thought, it only instinctively burns its own energy to heat, trying to dissolve Chen Shi alive. That's right, if the space gem has its own mind and can use the space ability by itself, who can find it? What? Chen Shi screamed in pain in an instant, but fortunately the voice could not be heard. Otherwise, it can scare people to death. He is the gene of the ancient Doomsday. The sun can't ignite him. Space gem did it. Ding, the master is attacked by super high temperature. Start to analyze, the master is immune to high temperature attack. Ding, the master was attacked by super high temperature and began to analyze, the master mastered local temperature control. Call, call, call. Chen Shi let out a few breaths, and sure enough, the ancient Doomsday gene is a cow ratio. When the space gem burned through his stomach in an instant and escaped to the heart, his stomach was instantly repaired and immune to heat attacks. He opened his heart with psychokinesis and instantly fixed the space gem inside. Let's see how you run now, just be honest, no one can use you except me. Looking at the space gem still releasing high temperature, Chen Shi smiled, waiting to be a part of me. System, open the properties panel and see what benefits you can see. Ding. Please take a look at the master. Owner, Chen Shi. Age, 23. Realm, level Godfather, immortal and immortal. Strength, 300,000. Stamina, unlimited. Spirit, 150,000. Ordinary adults set the attribute to 1. Constitution, ancient Doomsday gene. Ability, magnetic field control, shapeshifting simulation, telepathy, mirror space, psychokinesis, space teleportation, astral projection, super strength, super speed, super flight, super defense, super vision, super hearing, perspective, searing sight, super breath, local temperature control. The space law is awaiting awakening. Items: Tesseract, phone dummy, T1000, space gem. After half a year of sun exposure, his strength has almost doubled, and he has just gained temperature control. Does this make him a chef? System, to what extent can the temperature be controlled? Also, why is there an extra space law? Ding, the temperature control can currently control the high temperature up to 5,500 degrees on the surface of the sun, and the low temperature can be infinitely close to absolute zero -273 degrees. Ding, because the space gem has just been devoured, and the space ability is still waiting to devour enough energy to be able to awakening. As soon as Chen Shi heard it, darling, it's okay, if you control the space around a person and reach the temperature of the surface of the sun, that person will not evaporate instantly. Space is king, time is respect. Take a bite of the space gem and endure that little pain. As if nothing happened, Chen Shi quietly came to the moon, and quietly returned to the earth. Only Chen Shi himself knows that he has taken a big step and eaten the space gem that countless people dream of. Time flies like an arrow, time flies like a shuttle. In the blink of an eye, it was August 1945, the month Wolverine rescued his nemesis Yakida Ichiro in Nagasaki, and this month the small plaster surrendered. The high-level officer of the devil who escaped for a year finally burst into tears, and we will never have to be assassinated by the devil again. Because he surrendered, Chen Shi brought back Arno, and the terrifying nightmare of the little devil was finally over. Nearly a year has passed, and Umbrella has naturally not been idle. With the efforts of Dr. Erskine, Dr. Zola, and many clones, a super soldier serum with no side effects was born. Chen Shi naturally injected the super soldier serum into Peggy, Raven, Emma, Jubilation Lee, and Junwezi. Apart from Amaterasu, they were also injected with the Perfect T virus serum. Chen Shi also gave the Perfect T virus serum to Erskine and others for research. They have long coveted this serum that can perfect awakening super ability. Definitely based on the super soldier serum, Umbrella has developed a 20% efficacy super soldier serum, which the military is desperate for. Now that the war is over, but the more severe decades-long Cold War has begun, the government can only continue to increase its military budget. This serum, which improves physical fitness by 2 times, is not favored by the military, and Umbrella has also entered the military's sight. Definitely, Bond also collected a lot of general's hair. Similarly, Umbrella has developed a body-enhancing potion that, taken daily, can enhance her physical fitness by 10% a year. The advent of this medicine has directly made the United States boil. Who doesn't want to have a great body? 2 products, let Umbrella make it. Umbrella also bought land in large batches and left it there, but Chen Shi knew how much a piece of land would cost in the future. Definitely now the New York government has no trouble with Chen Shi doing this, as long as the land is at the market price, as much as he wants. Because the leader they were familiar with was already an employee of Umbrella, and as long as Umbrella gave an order, he would wave the flag and shout. During this period, Chen Shi successfully signed in a bunch of things. There are definitely broken stones and toothpicks. The slightly better ones include Yishin's sword, Dragon Saber, and a Juyong magic book. The biggest gain is to sign in a few storage rings, which is good, no longer need to hide and tuck. Dang dang dang. Wife, come to send your baby, bring it to try. Just after dinner, Chen Shi took out 6 exquisite and luxurious rings as if offering treasures. Wow, husband, is this an engagement ring? It looks luxurious. Yes, it's so beautiful, I really want it. Women are extremely weak against glittering things, and rings are more representative of special meanings. These storage rings in the immortal cultivation world are naturally fancy, not to mention their appearance, and as long as they drop blood to recognize the master, there is nothing inappropriate to say. Every woman fantasizes about the day she gets married, put on her lover's ring, and follow Chen Shi. They know that the wedding is hard to say, and they are satisfied to be able to give them a ring. They can be used as engagement rings, but more of these are treasures, legendary storage rings. Chen Shi explained. God, is this true? Isn't this something only found in Eastern mythology? Bring it to us quickly. When Chen Shi heard their exclamations, she felt proud for a while, seeing that you don't worship my dead husband. Okay, oh, everyone has it, remember to drop a drop of blood on the ring before you can recognize the Lord. After Chen Shi finished speaking, he let them choose the ring at will. All the girls heard that they were all storage rings, anyone would do. They cut their fingers and dripped a little blood on the ring to recognize the Lord. Haha, it's really fun, I can control it with my mind, I take it in, I take it out, hee hee, it's really fun. The girls got new babies and new toys, and they experimented in the living room one by one, and they had a lot of fun. Woo, thank you husband. Everyone ran over and kissed Chen Shi to express their gratitude. That's it, The rest will be given later, and we can experiment with new poses. Chen Shi pouted, a group of unfamiliar women, to please the uncle, there are many good things. It definitely counts, and later the girls brought Chen Shi a new and unparalleled experience. Chen Shi was very emotional. The ancient destruction day is a masterpiece. No matter how many wives he has, he can easily conquer them and make them obedient. Life goes on and on. After the war, Umbrella established more than 300 orphanages in the United States and China, which directly won unanimous praise and countless applause from the public. Chen Shi knew that even if Bon ran for Congress now, it would be more than enough. Umbrella began to deploy real estate, automobiles, medical care, education, and insurance. This is the mainstream industry in the future. How can it be handed over to people who eat people without spitting bones? Is it necessary to buy land? Kennedy, who was wounded and returned to the country after the war, began his career in politics and used his mutant ability to rise rapidly, becoming an emerging force in the political arena and considered a rare, charismatic star of the Democratic Party. In the middle of the 20th century, Zhang Ershao used his ability to escape the post-war trial, came to the United States, and secretly joined the Hellfire Club. At the same time, he recruited Riptide and Red Devil as his subordinates, and began to expand his power with great fanfare. Because of the lack of Emma's telepathy, Xiao felt extremely difficult and painful. When Eric grew up knowing that Xiao had escaped the trial, he began a search for revenge for his fellow Jews who died. Chen Shi did not interfere with Charles, nor did he interfere with Eric, nor did he care about Xiao. Only blood and fire can bring integrate, and only Eric and Xiao can bring mutant to the forefront. On the other hand, Chen Shi became stronger by lying here, accompanied by his beautiful wife and concubine, and Eric was miserable there. In the past 5 or 6 years, he spent the whole day eating and sleeping in the open air, and he couldn't find anything. In this era, it is really difficult to get news, and only telegrams can be used farther away. In 1956, Eric met Magda, and after living together for a while, he embarked on a revenge journey again, but he didn't know that Magda was pregnant. 10 months later, the twins were born. On the night of childbirth, there was a battle on Wandager Mountain. The ancient god of the underworld, Sisun, who was banished to the different space, tried to return to the real world through the passage in the mountain, and was repelled by the forces of high evolutionary people, but Sisuo-en approached Wanda in a split second and had some kind of influence on her. After several turns, the Wanda brothers and sisters were adopted by Maximov, a pair of gypsy people, so they had this surname. The Umbrella Estate in Manhattan, New York, 1962. Ding, the new week's sign-in begins, please sign in the master. Sign in, I have already seen through the red dust, and I have no desire. Chen Shi didn't even lift his eyelids, and he couldn't even raise his interest. You can get stronger by basking in the sun. Look at what you sign in, various types of mobile phones, used batteries, pants, socks. There are also some good things, for example, a total of 20 foundation building pills, a dozen beauty pills, and body beauty pills have been signed. Anyway, in the end, his wife used it, and he was the one who was comfortable. There are also a few good items, the optimized burnt fruit, frozen fruit, cat and cat fruit, thunder fruit, rubber fruit, and 3-color domineering. Chen Shi only left a domineering look for himself, and the rest was used by his wives. Ding, congratulations to the master who successfully signed in and obtained 100 tons of vibranium. Please check the master. Swish, Chen Shi immediately got up from the chair. You mean 100 tons of vibranium? With a touch of disbelief, Chen Shi reconfirmed and asked, making a good start. Yes, please check it out by yourself. The system beep sounds again. Chen Shi was fascinated by the system space, and sure enough, it was neatly placed there. Put it aside for now, and then take it out when you need it later, and ask Tony to make a steel armor for his wife. If it's not enough, go to Wakanda for a friendly negotiation. Thinking of Howard again, this guy really doesn't have much patience, but it's hard for him. After learning boring magic for a few years, I began to become lazy, fishing for 3 days and drying the net for 2 days. Chen Shi has not been idle all these years. Raven and Emma have long been born into slim, charming and beautiful women. They were eaten clean by him 5 years ago. A few days later, Charles came to Umbrella Manor again. He was running very diligently recently, as if he had joined CIA, and wanted Chen Shi to give him some advice on the future. Sir, I haven't seen Eric for a long time, and this guy doesn't know where to go. In the original world, the two friends hadn't met at this time, but now Charles and Eric have long become good friends. Umbrella Manor, with a radius of 7 or 8 miles, is shady with green trees and beautiful scenery. This is Chen Zai's private domain. Umbrella is in full swing these days, with members of Congress, the top military, and their clones everywhere. Now America is born in Umbrella, lives in Umbrella, and dies in Umbrella. America looks up poor umbrella buildings, hospitals, schools, hotels, office buildings and more. Health care, education, communications, automobiles, home appliances, insurance which are not monopolized by Umbrella. Up to now, there are still countless businessmen suing Umbrella's business monopoly, but to no avail. Judge, which congressman doesn't use Umbrella's advanced products? Is it back to primitive society? All rejected. Businessmen who recognize reality can still get their hands dirty and drink some soup. I don't know where he went, and he's not a child. Chen Shi lay lazily on the lounge chair by the pool, sipping wine with a glass of wine, and looking at the beautiful scenery not far away. He really didn't have the heart to tangle with Charles over these trivial matters. In the huge amounts of swimming pool in front, a slender beauties in swimsuits shuttled through the water like mermaids. This is the perfect work of Umbrella, the nanny who came to serve Chen Shi and his wives. Wouldn't it be better to enjoy the view than to discuss the mess with this big man? Chairman, are we in good shape? Would you like to come and teach us how to swim? A blonde beauty emerged from the water and looked at Chen Shi with watery and charming eyes. No need, let's play. Chen Shi didn't want to have anything to do with these clones. It was easier to get down than to get up, and the women in the family would strangle him. Sir, I know why Eric went, he went to Shao, right? How did you know? He only told me. Chen Shi was a little confused. Eric only told him, and Charles's current telepathy, covering New York is not bad. I accidentally got from a mutant's memory that the person who fought him was a red tail who could travel through space. Charles confessed that he had invaded a lot of mutants' memories in pursuit of Eric. Eric will be exposed, and it will be another race war. Charles looked a little excited. He didn't want war. Wouldn't it be okay for mutant to be at peace with humans? Charles, it is inevitable that Homo sapiens will replace Neanderthals. But the current human beings will be replaced and eliminated, then war is inevitable. We must stop all this. Well, this time Charles is no longer a swinger, but more like a warrior dedicated to peace. Hey, Charles, I'll tell you a secret, you'll be beaten up by society right away. Chen Shi stopped arguing, smiled mysteriously, and that gloomy tone made Charles tense, scaring the baby to death. Charles, don't you understand after all these years? Mutants' power is like a gift from God to mankind, definitely they are not God. I don't understand this. Is our power given by others? Charles's eyes widened, shocked, unbelievable. Now is not the time to be entangled in this, you still can't get in touch with these secrets. When it comes to the Tiantian group, Chen Shi doesn't want to say more, because the gap between them is too big. Listen to me, if you were an ordinary person, your neighbor could suddenly spray water, control fire, fly, be invisible, see through, and even live forever, what would you think? Chen Shi asked Charles back. What would I think? Charles bowed his head in thought, but didn't answer right away. I would be envious at first, but after a long time, I will be jealous, and gradually I will try to have it, and finally I will try to destroy him if I can't get it. Charles is the master of the mind, he can't deceive himself and say things against his heart. He started grabbing his hair, rubbing it vigorously, and yelling in a low voice in pain, I'm sorry, I don't know, I really don't know what to do. Everything follows the principle of survival of the fittest and elimination of the unfit. There is an old saying in our East that people who are not my race will have different hearts. There is no shortage of people, but unevenness, envy, heartbeat, fear, rejection, and estrangement. In the end, when the boom breaks out, war is inevitable. Finally go to war, integrate, or completely separate, mutant escapes the earth. Chen Shi looked at Charles, shook the red wine in his hand, and said with an expression on his face. I know. Charles lowered his head in frustration. However, war will bring destruction and harm. I don't want humans to get hurt, and I don't want mutants to get hurt, but I really can't. Looking at the pained Charles, Chen Shi really admired him, a future disabled professor who devoted his life to the cause of peace. Charles, don't be like this, get ready for the upcoming war, all the good futures you imagine will come true, I say. Chen Zai's firm voice was like a thunderbolt, resounding in Charles's mind, he believed it. Chen Shi stared at Charles and said, a bright future is bought with bloodshed and sacrifices, with mildness, compromise, and concessions are all illusions, fists are greater than everything. The king who honors virtue, and the hegemon who honors strength, there are two ways in China. Advocating to govern the world with benevolence, righteousness and morality is called the king's way, and advocating the use of force to conquer the world is hegemony. You are full of benevolence, righteousness and morality. Can it work? Someone will take care of you. Only if you overbearing conquer them and make them fear, they can absolutely obey your benevolence, righteousness and morality. The wisdom summed up by the ancestors is unattainable. Domineering conquers the world, and the monarchy governs the world. At any time, a tyrant can become a king, or a king can become a tyrant. Thank you, sir. I think I'll go back and think about it. Charles's head was rumbling. I hope you can understand that blindly benevolent compromise will not bring about fairness and future. Chen Shi sipped the red wine and said lightly. If you meet mutants who don't like fighting and just want a quiet life, you can let them join Umbrella, and I can create a Garden of Eden to shelter them. Chen Shi did not forget to remind Charles that the current mutants rarely show up, and there will be a large number of mutants who are unwilling to join the X-Men and Brotherhood in the future. Chen Shi does not mind taking them in and extending their hands. Charles raised his head, stared at Chen Shi and said, although I don't know how powerful Mr. is, and I haven't seen you make a move, I know that as long as you make a move, everything is a cloud, and everything that gets in the way is just turning over. Between hands. Ha ha ha, Charles, you don't have to guess. You don't understand what I'm going to do. Do you know what I'm going to do? No one knows. Obviously Charles wanted to use Chen Zai's ability, Umbrella's ability, to conceal the existence of mutant, or when the two sides were at war, Chen Shi came out to stop everything. The concept of the two is completely opposite. Charles is still too tender, and needs to be beaten by society. 10 years can see the coming of spring and autumn, 100 years can see birth, old age, sickness and death, 1,000 years can see the change of dynasties, 10,000 years can see the stars change. If mortals use the vision of one day to spy on the world of millions of years, is it like a frog in the bottom of a well? Quote, Charles, don't just stare at this 1/3 of the earth, the starry sky outside is extraordinarily beautiful. Maybe, it seems that Mr. knows a lot, and I am the frog at the bottom of the well. Listening to your words is better than reading 10 years of books. Toast to you. Charles heard Chen Zai's voice, the universe is huge, and there are many secrets. Their discussion today allowed Charles to gain too much, and many ideas received an unparalleled impact. He was very grateful to Chen Shi for his guidance. Cheers, Charles, just remind you, you are probably going to be beaten by society soon, naive young man, Chen Shi teased, because he found that someone was coming. Master, someone has come to Mr. Charles. Then invite her in. Soon a blonde and capable beauty came to the pool. Hello, beautiful lady, do you have time for dinner? Chen Shi directly teased this beautiful girl. Sorry, Mr. Chen, I'm not interested in radishes, I'm here to find Mr. Charles. Mora obviously knows the details of Chen Shi, this playboy is not her thing. Hello, Mr. Charles, my name is Mora Marktagart, CIA agent, your colleague, you must not know me when you joined, but I need your help now. Mora straight to the point. Okay, let's chat on the side. Charles nodded. The curtain of the world is about to open, and mutant begins to enter the stage of history. In the living room of the villa, Charles asked his servant to bring Mora a cup of coffee. Thanks. Mora took a sip of coffee, then cut to the chase and said directly, Mr. Charles, what do you think of genetic variation? Gene mutation. This is a topic I have been researching. Isn't it a kind of genetic mutation that Homo sapiens replaced Neanderthals? Charles took out the set of his thesis again, and began to pretend proficiently. Mr. Charles, I'm serious. Okay, you say. Charles shrugged self-indulgently. Mora looked at Charles with a serious face, and said slowly, Mr. Charles, do you believe in people with genetic mutations? Or people who have genetic mutations with super ability? I believe. Charles doesn't know why she asks that, but hesitations, then nods. Mora was stunned for a moment, then shook her head helplessly. Can you keep it a secret? After all, your university majors in genetic mutation. Definitely. Charles nodded hurriedly. This was what he cared about the most. Mora's eyes slowly became firm, and she took out a stack of documents from the bag behind her and handed it to Charles to watch. In the photo, there is a man with a whirlwind spinning in his hand, and another with a red face like a devil. Charles recognized it immediately. These were two guys he had seen from a mutant's memory earlier. Where did you get this? Charles at the moment became solemn, and mutant was exposed to the government's sight. It was too sudden, and there was no preparation at all. This is what I secretly inquired about before, and no one in the bureau believes it. You are the first to know. Mora said to Charles solemnly, the matter had to start a few days ago. She disguised as a passer-by beauty and sneaked to the Hellfire Club site, hoping to find evidence of the crime of intelligence officers. As night fell, a car was parked opposite the Hellfire Club. In the car, Mora stared at the door of the Hellfire Club with a telescope. Soon she made a major discovery. As Chia's agent, Mora is in charge of supervising the investigation of the Red Product personnel who sold national intelligence to Su Lian, but the strange thing is that the person who appears in Hellfire, she is definitely not the Red Product. Colonel Hendry, New York gangsters, members of the Locke family, it seems that this club is not easy at all. Mora put down the telescope, rubbed her temples and muttered, what a headache. After a little hesitation, Mora changed into the little dress she prepared, and pretended to be a woman who was fishing for a good child at the party and sneaked into the Hellfire Club. Colonel Hendry, Mr. Cade, Mr. Locke, please come with me, the Black King has been waiting for a long time. As soon as these big guys entered, a beautiful attendant brought them into the box. After entering the box, the attendant took Hendry into a secret room again. At the moment Mora quietly walked into the box, and the person was gone, that is, there was a secret room. In the secret room, Xiao stood in front of the vinyl record player with a wine glass in his hand, and the melodious music sounded. Music. Mora finally found it after looking for the voice. No refills, Colonel Hendry, Xiao said, walking back to the sofa and sitting down opposite Colonel Hendry. No, Colonel Hendry shook his head. Xiao smiled and said, I heard that you blocked the proposal to deploy missiles in Turkey. Putting his hand on the sofa, Xiao took a sip of wine and continued, I hope you can reconsider. Colonel Hendry said, we talked about this. Putting our nuclear bomb in Turkey, or where it is close to the Soviet Union means war, nuclear war. I'm not asking for your help, Colonel, I'm expressing my expectations, so, I repeat, I hope you're thinking about it. Xiaopi didn't smile, and the threat was self-evident. The only thing I would reconsider is another glass of champagne. Colonel Hendry said indifferently, the implication is that the deployment of nuclear bombs to cause nuclear war is not to be discussed. After speaking, Colonel Hendry got up and prepared to leave. This is a group of lunatics. He can't deal with these lunatics, or he will perish. Xiao shrugged helplessly. Since Hendry was unwilling to cooperate, he could only use some special means. Xiao turned his head to look at the torrent sitting next to the bar. Xiao motioned gently, and the torrent understood. I saw the torrent sitting there, turning his palm slightly, and saw a small whirlwind slowly generating, and then the whirlwind became bigger and bigger, and the whirlwind flew towards Colonel Hendry quickly when the torrent was thrown away. What medicine did you put in my wine? Seeing this bizarre scene, Colonel Hendry was shocked, and his first reaction was that he had been given hallucinogenic drugs in his wine. Mora, who was peeking, hurriedly took a photo secretly, which would be the biggest discovery of this century. There was a sneer in Xiao's eyes, when the whirlwind stopped in front of Colonel Hendry, blowing his clothes and hair slightly. When he thought it was just an illusion, reality slapped him hard. The huge amounts of whirlwind knocked him directly into the next wall in an instant. With a bang, the intense pain made him wake up. This is so real. You want to run away and hide. We will find you, there is no fortress in this world that can stop us. Xiao said with a disdainful smile on his face. Originally, this sentence should have been said by the White Queen using telepathy, but Emma Chenshi has long been in the harem. Torrent got up and followed Xiao to Colonel Hendry. Xiao said proudly, "Gene mutation, the evolution of human genes." "Where is the Asazo devil?" Xiao shouted casually. Mora, who was hiding in the bookcase, was shocked. When someone came at this time, what should she do? It was the second she was worried. Suddenly, a faint red mist appeared, and then a person with a red body and a tail appeared beside Xiao out of thin air. Mora's worldview was broken again, and he hurriedly took another photo secretly. "Don't let the colonel be late." The red devil nodded and stretched out his hand towards Colonel Hendry on the ground. "Come on." Colonel Hendry gave a slight hesitation and put his hand on it as if resigned. Swish, the red fog flashed. Followed by the red devil, and Colonel Hendry had disappeared. Mora quickly ran out quietly, reported the work to his superiors, and stopped Hendry. On the other hand, Hendry was obviously intimidated by Shaw and compromised. He agreed to deploy missiles in Turkey. And Mora's superiors obviously don't believe it. "How can you travel thousands of kilometers in 10 minutes? And warned her not to waste time, and her colleagues on the side laughed at her. Hendry was going to start the Third World War. So she thought of her new colleague, Charles, who majored in genetic variation in college. Because Chen Shi disrupted the plot long ago, Charles didn't pick up girls at the bar, and he didn't meet her, but the strong plot inertia is unpredictable. After Charles listened to Mora's story, the whole person was not well. Yes, he was perverted. Awakening has dominated his mind since he was a child. For the first time, he couldn't control his emotions and even yelled at him. Fake. Horse riding. Shaw, is this going to push Mutant into the abyss? Mutant is not ready for war, and our compatriots don't know where to hide. We are scattered. How can we be the opponent of the military? War wants dead man again. Fake. The gaff Charles broke out one after another, and said that he was a mutant. So you are called mutant, and you are also a mutant, so what is your super ability? Well, a woman's focus is different, and her curiosity is as uncomfortable as a cat's scratch. Hey, let me tell you, my ability is telepathy. You can simply understand it as mind reading, mind control. The helpless Charles did not elaborate. He said too much, and Mora would not understand. When Mora heard this, she immediately looked at Charles with fear. A mutant who could read minds was terrible. Charles smiled bitterly when he saw Mora's expression. Sir is right, our power is really scary. How could they accept us easily? Miss Mora, you don't have to worry. I will never probe into other people's inner world easily, please rest assured. Charles explained very helplessly and bitterly. Sure enough, this was severely beaten by the society. I was so naive, a frog in the well. I only knew whimsy. Sir, I was wrong. Big mistake. I really don't know what to do. I'm sorry, Charles. You know, your ability is so powerful that everyone will be afraid. Mora saw Charles's bitter expression, and she knew that she was a gentleman with the heart of a villain, so she quickly apologized. Hey, forget it. We also know that it is too difficult for the society to accept us, but I believe what Mr. said. He is the greatest wise man I have ever seen, and everything is under his control. Charles waved his hand and said with little interest that this blow made him admire Chen Shi even more. I take the liberty to ask, who is the husband you are talking about? Is he also a mutant? Mora was very curious. How powerful and wise this person should be to be considered a wise man or the greatest person by such a strong man who controls the heart. You've seen it, and you just rejected him. Charles was suddenly amused. You mean the chairman of Umbrella, the sassy radish just now? He looks like a wise man. Your husband. Mora rolled her eyes, followed by a burst of contempt and speechlessness, obviously disbelieving. Besides, he looks much younger than you. How can he be your husband? Don't make fun of me, okay? Mora began to analyze again. You don't understand how powerful and invincible Mr. is. Even if the mutants in the world attack him alone, it is estimated that he will not be able to hold on to one move. Charles could only judge by the ability Chen Shi showed, and the feeling that he was trembling every time. Mora was dumbfounded. Do you think I haven't read a book? Can it be so invincible? Ah, what you said is so outrageous and unbelievable. What kind of ability does he have? At least it's the kind of invincible ability. Mora is even more curious. This guy has been praised by Charles, and he must dig out his secrets. This silly girl doesn't know yet. The more she knows, the worse it will be for her. That's how the fall began. I have never been an enemy worthy of Mr. S. shot. I only know that Mr. is a person who is not eroded by time. He has never changed in decades. My God, Mr. can surpass flight. I never knew how fast he could fly with all his strength. It only took 3 seconds to go back and forth to the moon. My God, Sir can also use telepathy, decades ago than I am now. My God, Mr. can also manipulate the magnetic field of an object. As for the magnetic field of an object, I have never seen it. My God, Mr. can also teleport. Most importantly, Mr. can predict the future. God, stop talking, I feel like my world is collapsing. Is this God playing the world? Every time Maura heard a word from Charles, she would be startled. Is this person really that bohemian playboy outside? You don't have to think blindly. Mr. is not an ordinary person. How can ordinary people's eyes be used to restrain him with worldly prejudice? Charles felt that Chen's eye's behavior was normal. How could an elephant care about the rules of an ant? Charles, can you invite him for this operation? If he can come, won't everything be solved in an instant? It's a matter of minutes. Maura said excitedly, there is a great God here, isn't it easy to catch it? I'm sorry, I'm afraid you are going to misunderstand. We don't understand Mr. S. decision. We don't need to know his layout, so he can't take action, just look at himself, and invitations are useless. Charles shrugged and said that he could do nothing. How could his husband's thoughts be guessed at will? Ah, that's it, I don't believe it anymore, there is always a way to impress him. Maura said through gritted teeth. Maura is a great beauty who perseveres and does not give up until she achieves her goal. It can be seen from her insistence on investigating Xiao that this is a very good quality, and only in this way can she succeed. Chen Shi didn't know what happened here. He had fallen asleep in the sun, and in order to become stronger, he was willing to be a salted fish. If he knew that there was a big beauty catching his attention, it was really hard to choose whether he would obey or not. Maura clenched her fists, cheering herself up constantly. She must persuade him to shoot. Isn't he a playboy? Just because of his looks and figure, can't he be fascinated by him? He did a great job. Here I also want to talk about Maura's real-world actor, a beautiful woman. With a baby face, she is a superstar with both beauty and acting skills. She is also known as the American sweetheart. She is a cute, stern and restrained hot woman, and has an unparalleled oriental beauty. The beautiful Maura, who is very confident in herself, prepares to go out after cheering herself up and asks Chen Shi for help. When she went out, she saw the playboy, bathing in the sun, enjoying the afternoon in comfort, while she had already fallen asleep quietly. She quietly approached Chen Shi and carefully looked at the god that Charles spoke of, who could destroy the world with one anger, but slowly her eyes could not be opened. She had never seen such a handsome man. His face was carved with distinct facial features. His angular face was unusually handsome. Hey, what's wrong with me? No matter how strong or beautiful he is, it can't change the essence of him being a playboy. Maura, you must hold on, he has too many women. Maura suddenly found that she seemed to be lost, and when she was about to fall, she quickly pinched her long legs. Hey, Miss Maura, why do you keep staring at me like this? Although I'm handsome, suave, and the trees are close to the wind, I'm loved by everyone, and flowers are blooming, but I'm not your thing. Chen Shi woke up long ago, and knew that Maura was here when she approached him, and he was waiting for what this charming beauty would do. As a result, the woman was directly addicted to his beauty and couldn't extricate herself. Seeing that she was about to fall, she pinched herself abruptly and woke up. The beauty was awake, and Chen Shi naturally stopped pretending to be asleep, and started to strike while the iron was hot, flirting with this great beauty. Hey, don't think I don't understand Chinese. I'm the beauty agent of Maura. You are too narcissistic, but you still have some self-knowledge and know that you are not my type. Maura immediately gave Chen Shi a blank eye, and said arrogantly, experience it for yourself. Sister won't like you so soon. Okay, since that's the case, Miss Maura can play by herself, don't block your brother from sleeping in the sun. After finishing speaking, Chen Shi closed his eyes and entered the state of salted fish again, to see who couldn't hold back first. You, humph. Maura was so angry when she saw this guy. Is this still the playboy? He is such a dignified beauty that he turns a blind eye. It's really uncle can bear it, aunt can't bear it. Hey, don't sleep, people are begging you, please help me with an idea. I beg you. When Mora heard it, she was very painful. This dead guy did it on purpose. To put you to sleep. She fell on Chen Zai's body and started to wiggle and wiggle coquettishly. Well, continue to work hard. If you don't have enough strength, you can beat your legs and rub your shoulders for your brother, that's even better. Chen Shi said leisurely without raising his eyelids. Okay, I'll rub your legs and shoulders for you. Mora didn't know why, she was obsessed with the masculine taste of him, and she was obedient. Drowning in Chen Shi, he began to beat his legs and rub his shoulders. As for this level, it was as light as a cat walking. Hey, are you beating your legs and rubbing your shoulders? Are you sure you're not taking advantage of me? I'm scared when you do this. Chen Shi can let her be so presumptuous. This is too cruel, bullying him for being timid. God, what am I doing? Is this still me? Shame, shame. Mora was suddenly pulled back to reality, and when she saw her nympho state, she blushed suddenly. Hey, it's okay. I understand your feelings. If I were a woman, I would marry myself. Chen Shi said something very shameless. His proud face almost made Mora couldn't help but bite him to death. Cut, shameless, narcissistic. However, Mr. Chen, I really need your help. I have no clue. The war is about to start, and we can't sit still. Mora silently rolled her cute eyes, and then started a passionate speech, trying to impress Chen Shi. I know what you said. Well, everything needs to be solved by yourself. This is your mission. Chen Zai's babbling words were not recognized by Mora, so why are you still pretending to be a magician at this time? Don't play dumb riddles. As long as you can promise to help, whatever conditions you say, I can accept it. When Mora heard it, it was obviously nonsense. As long as it was for the sake of peace, she felt that Chen Zai's conditions were too much, and she could accept it. As for whether she wanted to be bullied by Chen Shi in the first place, she really knew it herself. Okay, seeing that you are so sincere, I will reluctantly show you the way, but I will not embarrass you after the fact. Accompany me on a date. Chen Shi seemed to be reluctant, but in fact he was determined to Mora in his heart. Okay, I promise you. Come on. Mora was a little lost for some reason, and thought that this guy was going to make some particularly excessive demands. Should he agree or agree? Mora's mental activities, Chen Shi knows very well. This girl actually thinks like this. Then I'm welcome. I'm sure about Mora. God can't keep it, I said. There is a man in you named Hank McCoy. Ask Charles to find him, and he has a way to make Charles's mind cover the American continent. Then what? Mora asked anxiously. Let him find more mutants. Only the power of mutants can fight against Xiao and the others. Thank you. I promised you. Don't forget. Now Charles and I go to Hank. Mora immediately took action, and at the end reminded Chen Shi not to forget their agreement. This foolish girl can't be saved. It's time for mutant to make a full debut. It has already begun to enter the government's field of vision, and evasion will not solve the problem. Mora was in a hurry, but even more anxious than Mora, there was Charles, Professor X, who was keen on the cause of peace. The two soon came to the CIA, and their colleagues looked at Mora with mocking eyes, because Mora had told the director a few days ago that Colonel Hendry was going to start a nuclear war. Cut, a bunch of idiots. Mora gave them a disdainful look. With Charles, they soon came to the chief's office. Where did you get these photos and recordings? It's just a fairy tale. Their chief, Matt Craven, was shocked. The photos and recordings were ironclad proof. Director, we need to find them and stop them without delay. The director summoned all the high-level officials to come to a meeting to study. Director Matt showed the photos and recordings brought by Mora, but the group of people still did not believe it. Seeing this, Charles felt it was time to show his hands and pretend. He successively told the little secrets of several bigwigs present, such as which secretary's house he spent the night at. Stop, 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 we believe it, stop talking. Well, these guys are in a cold sweat and they are scared to death. Besides, they can't get rid of their old bottoms. Charles shrugged and stopped pretending. He didn't know that this group of people were already thinking that they must kill him afterwards. This ability is really perverted. Gentlemen, now we're going to be a team, and only the mutant can resist the mutant. At this time, Mora directly published his own ideas from Chen Shi. Hearing Mora's speech, the eyes of the bigwigs lit up. Yes, use mutant to kill mutant, why don't we find an obedient mutant? Well, the thinking of this group of people is really old politicians, and they put mutant against mutant at once, and understood it as looking for an obedient mutant to kill a disobedient mutant. They glanced at each other quietly, nodding indistinctly. This was the tacit understanding of the old fox. Poor Charles didn't know that he had been sold. Then take the advice of Agent Mora and fight mutant with mutant. The director saw what everyone meant and made a decision directly. Director, we need Hank to do a little favor. I hope he will stop the work at hand and cooperate with us fully. Mora remembered Chen Zai's reminder and made her own request again. No problem, you go to him. If you need anything, the Bureau will fully support it. The director nodded. After the meeting, Mora and Charles found Hank, the young guy with glasses. The moment they met, Charles sensed that the guy in front of him was also a mutant. No wonder Chen Shi was looking for this Hank. What's your ability? Don't be nervous, we're compatriots. My ability is telepathy. Charles's voice sounded in young Beast's mind, and the boy was immediately shocked. It turns out that I am not the only one who is a monster, I have companions. When Hank heard this, he took off his shoes, exposing his palm-like feet. With a whistling sound, Hank used both hands and feet, and quickly ran up the wall, grabbed the blades of the ceiling fan with both feet, and hung upside down. Really sharp senses like Beast, and a strong body. Charles marveled. Wrong, Professor, my greatest ability is my brain, I'm a genius scientist. Hank retorted Charles as soon as he heard it. His pride wasn't his limbs, but his unparalleled brain. Hank, I believe you because someone told me you could help Charles amplify his brainwaves and cover the Americas. Mora stood up at this time, gave Hank an assist colleague, and also stated his purpose, but he was very smart. Brain wave amplifier. I'm a physics genius graduated from Massachusetts. Give me 3 days and I'll help you. When it comes to his own technology field, Hank is suddenly very confident, but a genius. Okay, let's do it for you. If you need all the materials, you can apply to the Bureau. No problem, listen to my good news. Hank said confidently. After Hank left, Charles also left headquarters. He wanted to find a quiet place and use telepathy to try to find Colonel Hendry and find Shaw through him. However, he received a call from Mora as soon as he got home. The CIA finally discovered the location of Colonel Hendry through a powerful agent network, and was ready to trade with Shaw again. Charles hurried to the CIA headquarters. He must participate in this covert operation. After years of disappearing, the occasional effervescent Magneto Eric reappears, a guy who has spent more than a dozen years focusing on revenge on Nazis who escaped trial. No, he forced a Nazi the day before yesterday to find an enemy in Aschencourt. When he was seeking revenge, he would be questioned every day. During the day, Zhang Ershao met with Colonel Hendry again. This time his appetite grew, and he wanted to seize control of the missile. The old man Hendry was in a hurry and took out a grenade directly. I'm not stupid enough to believe you, you give me money now and let me go. Otherwise, I'll pull the ring and we'll die together. A sneer appeared on Shao's face. Okay, let's pull it. Colonel Hendry stepped back and said, I will, swear to God. With a disdainful smile, Shao walked towards this greedy and timid guy, stepping tight. No, you won't, but I will. Shao immediately pulled the ring and ate the explosive energy in one bite, and directly blew Hendry up with his backhand. Having said that, Magneto Eric and Professor X are about to collaborate again under the wrong circumstances. It really is a good friend and a quilt. In any case, the two are going to join forces again. Chen Shi observed Ji Feng's movements and felt quite speechless. Why is the CIA a covert operation? Riding on a horse and driving a battleship directly with a large group of agents rushing in front of them and going to kill them. Is this a covert operation? Obviously look down on people. After the first battle, go and bring Wanda here. 5 or 6-year-old Aunt Liang is just right. Eric doesn't need to thank me, that's what it should be. Chen Shi, who was secretly observing, went astray again. He was about to be beaten to death, but he wanted to kidnap his daughter, and he had no morals. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.